I literally told her that it's one thing,
I mean, I know it's
I
part of
showed-
the 7 miles above.
don't take the money out of cash.
7 miles above.
But because that,
Okay.
I knew it before, but I said, Dick would be okay with it. His partner,
Is there water?
he would look at it as you stealing.
Okay.
Because he only cared about that. Which annoyed me to death, but that's another issue. So
It's probably closer to.
is Paul doing anything with you yet?
That's as far as I think.
But for me, after talking
So
to
you,
Sean, that was.
so how old are you when you left?
I'm gonna pitch my financial.
Canada?
Because it doesn't bring any money in.
Oh, the time, yeah.
Because I'm in BNI for the financials. I think that a return on investment for 3 years. I got 1 out of 3.
Yeah, we added a.
So that's not three thing.
Oh.
And I'll look- Was talking-
Oh, my
So
God.
it's the thing when I'm just gonna go in and approve it.
And the flight attendant, I remember, was so cute. They said,
Because my friend is in an market, but she's doing ads. I don't like $5,000 on investing ads.
yeah.
It's such a blank. And so
You were probably thinking, why?
I was watching. it.
We thought the
Right?
trees were
Because
beautiful, but.
It was her just.
And the sun
passed
shining.
away, and
Because
Because
you
it
get
said,
hit
so
long.
we want to move to. And I was thinking of
Or-
moving.
Not anymore, when we were kids, we would get.
But then when I saw.
It's
Then I was like, there's something that he knows that I don't. But I'm gonna trust that he made the right decision. And so I moved to her too, and I met her at
It's
the
always
GoPro. But the systems that they have in place, there is no way that we cannot succeed, so it's just about doing the work. And so I'm gonna work for the now hard, and then see her.
Recently, I mean,
So I'm eliminating a lot of.
Yeah.
It does a lot of things for you to give you more focus.
From Ontario.
And here's the other thing that I'm gonna tell you.
Stream.
Everybody that
So it does it.
Bob and myself that has other options, then you can become what you truly want to be, which is influential in your friends and your clients' lives. Because you're not about the money.
We're gonna start in about 10 minutes.
1 year.
So you're gonna recommend.
10 minutes.
I
help you with, sir?
That's it. Snowshoes, go snowshoeing and. Sledding and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's.
That's congratulations.
So I'm
I'm doing it.
eliminating.
Now, is that the,
Now,
is
side
is that the
I
original
don't have
Vermont?
with $1,000 and I have not used it. So
And I went, why is she doing big jobs? That's just, oh, I know, we should have stayed home.
Canceling my scholarships.
And we were trying to
I-
get her
Friends
had.
I know, cancel.
Oh,
They do have a good. Cancel my everything. And that's why I like budgeting. She's not. Just. When you're not paying for the product, that's when.
And where is it coming from?
And so that's what I'm looking at. So I get my starch up for the end of the month. I need this.
Oh, this.
To save my sponsorship because.
Yeah,
I
I
need
love
to-
it.
Season, yeah.
Oh, I know. It's coming, July 6th to August 10th.
Are you still doing the water systems or no? Still doing the water systems or? no?
I'm not. Still gonna be my friend doesn't do advertising.
They're taking a big.
No, like advertising, so I think it should be a clash. I think like. I think people will get confused messages. I'm just gonna go with this because I will always. These are consumables.
And that's why I say.
That was right, you were always.
I think
Once
that's
you feel
so.
that you sell, so you want.
I'll tell you, I have some of her products. Yeah, they're great. Well, I want them.
Okay, you pick the high one, I'll take the low one, and then I will.
Yeah, it just makes a difference, you know.
And see, because Ron was in my book, is with me can too.
He doesn't know.
I thought like it's. I think that I don't feel passionate. I get vibes.
It's about service. Ruth is not, Ruth is not.
Exactly.
So, and that's why, yeah, like I connect with them. How that person's energy is, that's what I'm more concerned with.
And so,
Oh my gosh, so.
I'm gonna ask you to move about 2 inches forward.
So you can slide door.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I'm.
I'm going on the other side of this. About a 10-minute walk.
Congratulations.
So he and the dogs. go and swim.
Because now you can get clarity about what you're going to do and you also have now have game plan.
Oh, really good. So 9 o'clock, she goes up to see them.
They have time.
Please,
They give you that. It's not like they don't know.
Because your grandson will say, hey, where were you? Let's go.
Oh, no,
I don't know what to do.
Oh.
right? So nobody else has that. She sleeps with him.
Oh, that's so good for them too.
Oh, yeah.
I know she's got.
That's good. I'm proud of you.
And the day.
That's a big step.
It was a big study, maybe because.
Oh.
Because she's
So it doesn't let people
starting
touch
to
her phone stuff, so
you,
but
but
at
I'm
least you
going
do
to
anything,
give
she'll hold it by the ears.
So I.
Yeah, I
Which
literally
would not go over with anybody else.
had a
Yeah,
friend
yeah,
that was in a
I love
particular
that.
company and they were doing rather well.
So he has no peace. Well, they're two
And,
dogs.
Oh, they have.
They
Well,
have two dogs, and she's
I-
funny, because we're playing. and
I
she-
mean, I'll be honest, they- I brought it from them just to help them. continue growing. And they were telling me about this one.
Oh, there. I saw you pop on. Can you let me know if you can hear me? Can you text? Who do you have? I don't know who you have on your phone. Maybe Christina? In the group chat? Or, I don't know if I can see it here on my camera. Yeah. Um. Babe, do you have an account at, on,
Now with the kids.
Mobile?
I can hit her on the phone.
I don't think so. I don't know what that is.
That's my dashboard.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Yes,
I didn't think that for both.
correct. I have it specially prepared right in the next room. Let me get that for you. And so this is being broadcast live. It's recording for us because you may miss stuff. But it's for like Amber and Daniela who weren't here, can't make it.
So is it
Um,
on Zoom? Is that what we're looking?
No, on the dashboard.
Okay, it's on the desk.
So and you go, it's a black button about middle way down that says RC. So click on it,
What?
on the one that says RCR. No, for as smart as she is sometimes, right? You buy her books and
It's-
buy her
okay,
books.
just explain.
So yeah, I wouldn't have a hand stuck between your eyes.
No, he's asking us to test it.
No, well, you're good. We're gonna be here. Unless you want to go stand in the rain. So can you hear me?
No. He's doing it for Danny and Amber.
You may not be
RCR May.
supported on your browser.
So click launch meeting anyways. What browser are you on?
It defaults to,
Got the open.
I'm on Google.
Okay, well, that's the one where it should work.
that flash flood warning back where you were yesterday.
Heather says, let Sean know I can hear him.
Okay,
So go.
good. But I just want to see what it looks like from your side. So if you. Okay, join. So now it should show the room. Why isn't it pinned? Okay, so that's still showing there. Yeah, but that's your camera. I gotta make it the main one, so I gotta make my phone the host. I love technology. You stay on it, stay on it. Let me get my. Jamison, you're getting all wet. Um, so. That should be. Depend, how do I get it to you? Multi-speaker. You should be the host now. The host, okay, recording. Let me go see if I. What you may have to do, Heather, is pin Sean, that guy, as the main view. I don't know why it's not showing up as the main view.
And under like trifocal.
Yes.
I'm gonna leave this here or put it on?
No, we're gonna leave it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about these eye drops that they're using now. Since they developed at the University in Texas and you can market that for people who just have need readers.
Really?
Eye drops.
Oh, really?
Really? Yep, one day.
Because
put it in.
my eyes, the number one is too strong. So
Well,
I
I'm
have
gonna
to
say
get
these
0.5.
eye drops, yeah, these eye drops will replace readers.
Oh, that's cool.
And they just adjust to what you need.
I guess, I don't, it's something in,
I
because the
need it.
readers are because of the curvature of your eye,
Really.
and so it adjusts something. Isn't that weird? I'm like,
Oh,
what?
that's amazing. I mean,
What?
it is totally weird, but so is a lot of
Yeah.
technology. That's very good. I just have to figure out how to keep my eye open.
Well, I don't know how to figure that out. We're gonna get started, so figure that out later. Huh? Oh, I got it going, but I can't make that the main camera. It's just a video that's in the screen, so I'll figure it out at the break. Keep the main thing the main thing. All right. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
How'd you sleep? You can go ahead and mute that. Who was the last one?
Oh, what's the last one here?
I was gonna say you get to do the dishes, but they're already done. No, I know. So welcome.
Welcome.
Good to see y'all. Inside your, I gotta get Diane's workbook. She's like looking at me going, excuse me. Jamison, come inside and sit down, please. What other workbooks? That is Diane's. Okay.
Well, this is preparing you.
Oh, you can if you want.
Look at how you get it. So.
Yeah, sure.
You weren't surprised. And why, that's why I. Have room.
That's when he can draw. And
Anybody need a pen?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So inside the front cover of the workbook is a magic check.
Oh, yes.
So let's pull that out. I want you to write a magic check. That's what we're going to work on first, is a magic check. What's that, babe? There's a workbook in, oh, and you can add stuff in. That's not mine. Who needs your biscuit? Buddy, your biscuit. Do you have batteries here? They're all over there. Double A. Do you have them here? Okay. Can you put some batteries in there? And then turn it back on? Or I can turn it back on. So magic check. What's it say in the first paragraph? This may not be the cloudest environment. But the environment is your personal reality. So what is it? Go ahead.
I'm just looking at, some beautiful pictures there.
Oh, they'll go away here in a second. So what's it say after that?
Craft your magic check. Take blank sheet, check or create.
So you've got the template in front of you. Yep. So what date do you want your goal to come true? Any goal.
Today.
Okay. You can put down today. When's the check supposed to pay you? Now, here's the challenge. You guys have been with me for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And this doesn't, I know, beginning, day one. But I'm that's why I didn't look at you. You don't have a goal in mind. This is going to be a tough workshop if this is where we're starting. But it's going to get fun. Yeah, one of us will always have fun. The key is that, do you see why you struggle? Do you see why we're going to put a year into this? Because we've put part-time into this. You've done your success part-time. And that's not fair to you. It'd be real easy for me to say it's not fair to me, but that would mean I'm responsible for you. Does anybody want to take a picture of the chickens wanting to be part of the workshop?
Oh, it's not work too.
They're all standing sitting here on the porch. Now they're all going to get fed. Fredo, where were you that you look like? Where was Fredo that she got looks like she got run over? Yeah. Watch. So for those of you watching live on YouTube, we are live here at the ranch. This is not filmed in a studio somewhere. So what I really want you to do, we're not even going to scratch the surface of the book. We're going to go into it in the next 2 days. What I really want you to get out of this event is that you're going to create your goals and move towards them with every breath. I don't care if it's that far, but you are moving forward. There is no more back. There is no more back. There's no more sideways. You can look that way and your subconscious will go, what are you doing? Because I'll ask you, we did the Dickens process. Were you here for the Dickens? No. So, would you like to share it with them? It's a very painful process. Because here's my question. If you showed up here, we're going to do a mini Dickens. If you sit here and this is now 2025 and you're exactly where you are, How does that feel?
Sucks.
Okay, so let's take it forward 5 years. How's that feel? You're in the exact same place. A little bit of growth, but no, nothing to where you're nowhere near where you want to be. That's 5 years from now. You want to be there? How about 10 years from now? Because the last 10 years, you're probably not much better than the last 10 years. A little bit, incrementally, but you're not nowhere near what you're capable of. Nowhere near you promised yourself. So you got to make a decision. And I get loud when I do this. And sometimes people say, well, it sounds like you're yelling at them. Well, maybe I am. The point is that I don't want you another month without you going, oh my God, you won't believe what. I want you to get used to saying, you won't believe what happened. So what's the 4th paragraph on the magic check? What's it say?
Express gratitude, open your eyes, and express sincere thanks for the abundance, as it has already been delivered.
Now, how many of you were sitting in abundance when I was just running you down the railroad? Yeah. But you have to be. This is the switch. This is the Wallace D. Waddles moment. It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. Be happy for the misery. Be happy for the pain. Be happy for the absolute aggravation that you're feeling right now, because this is the last day you will ever feel it. If what? You make a decision. I can't do it for you. I'll still be here. This may turn into the meeting cabin. We may have the house built by the next time you come here. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know when you're coming back. I hope it's the next one in October. And I hope you're teaching. I hope you're going to say, here's what I did in the last 5 months. Because it's time. Michelle is such a blessing for me. And the reason that this book, I just wanted that on camera and you not yelling. Can you imagine? This won't be like this for much longer. You get me, you get her. You're in our kitchen, you're in our living room, you're in our kitchen room. Right? This is it. You're here. They're not going to be this small. They're not going to stay this intimate. Now, you will always be inner circle. I want you to move. I want you up here we do a 4-day weekend and you up here teaching. On May 3rd, 2024, I changed my life. It changed forever. And then you tell your story. What's the top of the next page? Listen, I'm going to break you of your habits. I'm going to break you of, I got to go through everything, because otherwise you're going to be queen incremental growth, and I want you quantum.
Prominent place.
Now, that's important. Why is that important?
Constantly.
Okay, so here's the thing I'm talking about. When it says places in a prominent place, what does that mean to you? Okay, in front of your face.
I didn't hear.
In front of your face,
Oh.
right in front. What else does it mean? Give me some ideas. Bathroom, refrigerator, on your desk.
And change and move it.
And move it, right? So it's why do they move the milk in the grocery store? What? So that you see everything else.
But also because you get used to it. You get used to it wherever it is. And then if you move it, it's like, oh, yeah.
It's to change its environment, right? That's why you come to events. We could do this over the Zoom. You all know me. First time to meet me. Second, listen, I've been there. The house is kind of small. Well, God, just do it online. But here's the best place I want you to put it in front of you. I want you to burn it in. I want it to be so habitual. I want you to do what Bob Proctor does every twice a day, 3 times a day. He looks at it, carries it, but I want you to see the image, but I don't want you to see the check. I want you to see everything the check means. Right? There's some pictures that would pop up on there, Maureen, that you've been to. Some of you would go, oh, that's pretty. But because you've been there, it means something else. These checks don't mean anything because you haven't been there yet. I love you. I so love you. This is my sound effect machine. Ah. You know, I could pull that out and the feet go out if you want to be really. So the point is I want you to be able to, I want you to burn it in your mind. I want you to remember every second of the ranch. I want you to remember the rain. I want you to remember the flooding. I want you to remember the sounds. You guys had the tant and the lightning and the this and the that. I want you to burn that in so much so that you say, I want to be able to gift somebody who I love to go out to Sean's tent. And I just call them and I go, can they come out to the tent? And I go, yep. So you probably hadn't thought of that yet.
Part of your back office to organize the calendar. Oh, no, it's vacant.
Yes. So all of this to say, this is about dreaming. This weekend is about dreaming. It's not about checking boxes on a book. It's about getting into a dream state and changing that fluid in your body, right? For those of you who are part of the law of success, all of you are, but we've been talking about the ether. Where does your dream sit? This check, when you write it, is going to be cashed by the what? The ether. Exactly. The universe, the ether. So if you opened a bank account in the bank of ether, do you know how to access your account?
Said you had tests in code that were limited.
Got to go to ether.com, whatever it is. And then do you know your account number in the bank? Don't you have an account number in the banks you currently have? Some of you probably know it. What's your account number in the bank of ether, the bank of God, the bank of the universe? And then how much money is in there? Could you imagine having an unlimited account? If you were given 3 wishes, somebody told me one time, he said, I'd make the first wish, I wish I always had enough. Always had enough. Enough joy, enough money, enough patience, enough awareness. Just had enough. What would you do with the other 2? I'd wait till I need them. If you always have enough, when are you going to need them? I don't know.
Did what they tried to do, or did it just?
So what's next on the check? Why do you think they have you do that? So Napoleon Hill talks about autosuggestion. I can promise you, you are everything of your thoughts. Some of you thought to be here. Diane, I love how I wish she didn't, but I love how she pushes through and challenges and like, screw it, I'm going home. I'm not going home. I want to go home. This is ridiculous. This happens every time. And it's just, and then shows up at 4:30 in the morning.
Smiling. She's still smiling.
Yeah. So now you're going to access the ether. How many of you can think of somebody you love, right? Where are they? No, literally. Where are they? Yeah. But they're in our mind, aren't they? This check needs to be in your mind. Your goal needs to be in your mind. It has to be consuming. You heard us tell the story, and Michelle will tell the story probably tonight sometime. But we walked this place for days, and it wasn't ours. They had to give it to us. We weren't leaving. We became squatters. Not really, but sort of, kind of. They had 3 other people that they had agreements with, contracts with. Because this wasn't on the market. We put it on the market by wanting it. And somebody goes, now all of the agents, because one agent tells me, well, you know that 20 acres, that 30 acres, blah, 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 I think I just sold it. Really? I didn't know it was on the market. And so now they're trying to get people who are looking for land, looking for Lakeview, you can't find this. And so we had some disagreements and agreements and disagreements and agreements, but we never stopped coming out here because we just said, this is ours. It became consuming. And the only one of the many reasons, Rita says it's because nobody else had a vision for the place. We said, I'm going to be holding live events. We're going to have this. We're going to build the house there. We're going to build the cabins here. I'm going to have an event center up there. We're going to have, we never thought of the glamping, and that came out of the blue. Because that's part of our vision of bringing people here to experience the land. We never to have tenters on your property. What are you, nuts? Greatest experience. Yeah. And the eclipse, that's what I mean. So so did we buy this in just enough time? Because God goes, hey, I got an eclipse coming. I'm putting it right over your property. You know, the last time it was here, 327 years ago. You know, the next time it'll be here, 327 years from now. I don't know if I may see the start of it. I may not see the finish. But it's a vision. So I want you to just please, from this moment on, don't talk about anything other than tomorrow. You want to watch how your brain is going to fry. You want to talk about exhausted? Tell me about tonight. Tell me about tomorrow. You can't say, so how was your trip? I don't give a rat's butt. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear. I mean, I love you, but you've had enough of that. So now tell me the trip going home. Tell me Tuesday. What are you doing on Tuesday? What are you doing on next Friday? What are you doing when we start in June? I see the smoke. So I want you to start forward thinking. And what you'll find, so this is you guys create what I'm about to ask you. When somebody starts talking about the past, because it will slip out, it'll probably come out of me first. If you start talking about anything other than tomorrow, how are you going to let them know they've slipped? What's the thing you want to say to this group? This group is going to create a little, or a little, right? What's the thing you're going to say to them that you're slipping?
Keeps on.
Okay, so time out. Time keeps on moving. What else? What else could you say to each other? Vision. Okay. So okay, so vision. So you could say vision. Right? Vision. Keep moving.
When someone is talking, I'm waiting for them to take a breath. So I think like when you do this or this, it's different.
Yeah. You can give them the look.
Nah.
That works.
Right? So, vision.
Recycle.
Moving forward.
And what you'll find is that you have to listen to your thoughts. Because you're going to hear, oh, that happened to me yesterday. That happened. You have to sit now and going, oh my God, that's going to happen to me too. Oh my gosh, $500,000 came for your favorite charity. That's going to be so cool. Can you imagine if you had to, how many of you can tell me, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, can tell me something in your life? How many of you can tell me something 2 years in the future? Do you see where we're sitting? So it's challenging. Now, for purposes of clarification, we can say yesterday. But I want you to just start, hey, so how are you doing? Oh my gosh, you won't believe the trip I'm on. And your brain's going, aren't you on a trip? You're not lying. Why do we have to diminish this with that? You got that to look at. Look at it. You got I promise you, I will pay you $1 million if you can get a photo of the next time you're at an event and chickens are on the owner's front porch. I will give you $1 million. If you go
October.
the chickens will be locked up. They'll be pheasant. My point is that do you see how much fun this is now? So what's next on the check? What's it say next on the check? What's the next topic? What's the next?
Trust the final step.
Oh, wait, say that again?
Let go. And trust.
Yeah, so how do you do that? Anybody a mom? Anybody ever have friends? Anybody ever babysit? Do you ever have to let them? So what are you afraid of? Who's holding you? Let me ask you, who's holding you if you got to let go and trust? If God's holding you, then seriously? You know, there's a lot of people who sometimes they tell me about how I'm not Christian or because of my teachings or the words I use. All I can say is, who made them God? So, what's next on the check? It says, does it say anything else?
Well, that's the last.
Okay, so now here's what I want you to do. I want you to just sit quietly and I want you to just start thinking about what do you want to write this check for? I'll print out as many of them as you want while you're here. What we're eventually going to do is with the 12 modules is write a magic check for each module.
Does it then sum up to this?
They can't, no, that'd be another check. You can write that check for all of them. So that's the one you carry. Then you can see that and see all of the different things in your mind. So let's just play for a moment. You now are going to write a check. This check, it doesn't have to be for that, but you're going to write a check for vitality and wellness. You're going to write a check for your health. What would you want the check? Now let's go into what do you want the check for? What's the why behind the check? Before we get into the stuff. What's the state of the check? Why do you want to write a check for wellness?
For the wellness?
Yeah. You're going to write a check for the wellness. So buying a machine, buying a far infrared, buying a membership. Yeah. So, but why would you buy all of that stuff? Okay. Okay. So what's bigger than that? Because we won't do it for ourselves. We say we're going to do all this stuff for ourselves. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to go do 75 hard, and I can't get through 75 minutes hard. No, please. Well, I want the laughter. I want the feedback. This isn't church. So we have to make it for bigger than us. So what would throw out some reasons? This is, don't hold back, spitball. Just there's.
Would it have to do with impacting? For myself,
Yeah.
in order to longevity would mean that there would be more impact.
Okay, so what's that impact look like? So your grandkids. So if Michelle was in here, she'd say, we got to have more detail. And I know that this is where we get off. This is where we get off the bus and leaders go, that's great for your grandkids. Write that down. No, that does nothing. Okay, play what? See, all we're going to do is I'm going to layer it. So to play what? To play baseball, football? Right, but pick something.
Baseball.
Okay, baseball. What is it? You throwing to them? You catching? You okay? Are you part of their practice team? Are you a coach?
Yes.
Okay. See how it changes all of a sudden? See how his eyes have just phased in? Did you watch that? So now you're a coach. I'm watching you. You can cry if you want. I'll get you tissues. But now you're the coach of your grandkids. Now that will get me out of freaking bed. Not for your grandkids. But now he and you can say, hey, listen, do you need some batting practice? Do you need money for gloves for the kids for a donation? How do you feel this? Y'all feel this?
Attach the emotion.
Yes.
Attach the emotion. Grandkids. Yeah, some of you are going, I don't have grandkids, or have you met my grandkids? Right? And then when you hear his to be a coach, your brain goes into, I don't even know about baseball because you're listening from your past. See, I already got you. You were listening from your past. Well, I wouldn't want baseball for my kid. No. This ain't about you. You have to listen in the future. What can you do? Listen, I'll buy all your kids' uniforms. Some of you may have seen a post. This was last year ago, right? I sponsored Ria's son's soccer team. I didn't know I was sponsoring Ria's son's soccer team. She said, and they made jerseys with my name on it, and all the kids wanted to wear the one with my name on it, and they all had it, and it was green, and it was just gorgeous. And they went to the championship
Oh, my.
in the Philippines. I have a team in the Philippines. But why do I have a team in the Philippines? Pay very close attention. Because Rhea raised her hand, but it's because you guys are here. The money that you all put in sponsored the team. That's why I share. If you're not here, I don't have a team in the Philippines. Now, you happen to be sitting here. Could have been somebody else sitting here. I'd be telling them, because of you, I got a team in the Philippines. But it's our team. It's our kids we get to coach. Who else wants to tell me why your vitality, what you're going to use your vitality check for?
I always say people. I plan to be healthy. So I can run and jog and bike and swim and ski with my grandchildren
Where?
when we go on vacation.
Yeah, where? Where? Give me a place. See,
Sure.
okay. Okay, so where in Europe? I like Europe. Okay, so the Alps? So do you see what's happening on our face? Do you see the swallow that just happened? We start to realize how big the frickin' check needs to be. It ain't about us. You'd spend $1 million to make that happen now, to watch your kids ski down the Alps. Even if you were sitting having a little hot toddy. But to be able to take them, people take their kids on cruises, their grandkids on cruises. Drives them nuts, but they... Right. So the point is that this is now all of a sudden, this isn't about a check about a far infrared machine. It's about a nutritionist. It's about a this. It's about making sure the kids are all healthy. How many? This is the first generation where kids are supposed to not outlive their parents because of obesity. And so what if it's not just a cook who cooks for you, but one for cooks for your kids and the grandkids? Oh, well, that would be stupid. Who said that? Who said? No, I'm saying in your mind, there's a part of you that goes, the hell do I need to do that for? Or, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. Or, yeah, but you don't know my kids. They wouldn't want that. What? That's the past. Diane gets here and gets home outside of every bit of imagination. There's no way you can ever predict. Really? Did you see it? Oh, I'm about running for my flight. What flight? It's canceled. But you see how fast we go back into the only way we can see our future is from our past filter.
I was trying to be Wayne Dyer. 2 minutes, I'll get the flight. They closed the door in my face.
Did they?
And they'll say.
Wow. So was the plane there? No. I mean, it got
It
canceled.
was there, it hadn't,
Trump.
no, it was first plane.
Okay. So the flight going home is perfect.
Yes, it is. I'm gonna be first class all over.
So you start to see how it feels. It even feels odd coming up. You ever taste something like the water you gave me? You said, oh, there's a different taste to that. It's water. It's medically treated, medical grade quality water. It's just amazing. And the reason that it feels different is because it's literally sucking into your tongue. But your brain has a perception of everything. The brain only does two things. What's the two things it does? Kill you or recognize a pattern. So when we talk about a chef for your kids, making the kids healthy Pop-Tart, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, right? You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But to do that, and your brain literally goes, yeah, but then they're going to have a cook in their kitchen, and it's like, I got to explain to them, why would you want? But see, that's where you get to play the story, build the story from today to there. From today to there. Not trying to change this so that works. This is literally about moving forward.
decided to do a walk Mother's Day for the N5N Foundation,
Mhm.
kids around the world. And it's amazing the response we're getting from people.
People want to be a part of that. Yep. What, this one over here. Left, right there, yep. You just don't have to fill it up all the way. There you go. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about a check right now. You want to put on some music? I don't know. Anything. This is just for anything. I just want you to start dreaming. It doesn't have to be a 50-year check from now. It's $2.87 billion. It could be, I need a new roof. I don't know. It could be something. But I just want you to pick something. Anybody have something in mind?
I thought about this for years now, and it just came back to my brain.
Okay.
My bride and I get to take all of our kids, all 6 of them, their spouses, 5 of those,
Okay.
and the 13 grandkids, all at this 5 days.
6, 11,
26.
26. So you got a $40,000 trip.
Oh, there's extras.
Disneyland or Disney
World.
Good, good.
Yeah. So say it's around 50K. Date the check. When would you like it to be cashed? $12 months, 18 months, 8 months.
Next summer.
Okay. So which month?
June.
Okay, so put a 6 on the date.
Father's Day.
So
2025.
so it's on the 20th, right? I think it's June 20th is Father's Day always. No? Okay. Alexa, what day is Father's Day 2025? Oh, we have the volume down.
June 15th.
June 15th, 2025.
15.
So Michelle, we're talking about your magic check. Bob just gave an example of 26 people going to Disney World. From Pennsylvania to Disney World in all parts across the country. So we're going to round it up to about $50,000 for the event. 26. More?
Probably. Oh, yeah. It was 40 for our family. It's way smaller than that.
Yeah,
So what do you think a number?
with flights and meals and all that.
60?
stuff. 6 people?
60? How much? What's the number?
So
Huh?
per-
26.
6 people.
26 people.
So per person, I'm thinking with at least $1,500.
So let's do the math on it.
$50,000.
Is it?
39,000.
Okay, there you go.
So 50,000 for, because you want your picture with me.
Ice cream.
Yeah, so that right there's your budget with the Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special passes, so you don't have to stand in line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
So 50. So let's start with 50. I promise if you get, as you get to 50, it ain't gonna stop, meaning the income side of it. So June 15th, 2025. So that's the date on the check. So flip a page and you can either use that one or you can do it on a piece over here first and then copy it over. But put it on there. Yep, put it right on there. So June 15, 2025. So Michelle, speak to the fact of now that we have a $50,000 check, the Paul Harvey rest of the story. When you talk about what does that check entail? You know how you told me when I wrote my check, you go, you got to have more detail on that.
For the universe. Yeah. Recognize dollars. There's another one. Come on. Let's do this one. Okay. I used the latest one. Anyway, so here's my check and I put an amount in there. But the universe doesn't recognize dollars. It doesn't recognize amounts. Doesn't mean anything, right? So the way that you attract this, what you're writing in the check to you is that you have to assign emotions to it. So Disney, going to Disney World or Disneyland is an easy one because you can picture yourself being there, even the travel there, all of the meals together, the kids screaming, standing in line, getting sunburnt, whatever it is, all of those emotions. Because you can attract with negative as well as positive emotions, right? So, at the end of the day, however you get to Disneyland, right, it doesn't really matter as long as you end up with enough funds to go. So assigning detail to what the dollars are going to be used for. So mine, I usually, because I don't do these very often, I lump mine together. So I have basically what you would put in the memo. My memo is huge. And I have a set amount, but then I break it down and I break it down into things that I can have an emotion for. So let's see. Okay, so one of them is that I want just 5 acres of the property to be a garden. And I want there to be a greenhouse, and I have pictures. I've collected pictures in Pinterest of what the greenhouse I want it to look like. And then I also have details around, it needs to have irrigation. I want old windows. So I start assigning details to an X amount of dollars. So I put 20 of this big check, I put $25,000 towards that. And so I go into detail about how I would feel, sitting in the greenhouse, what I would grow. And so every detail that you can give, it starts assigning emotion to that money. The universe understands that. It understands the feeling you are telling it to bring the money for. It still doesn't connect with the money. So what it's actually doing is not bringing you the money. It's bringing you that which makes that emotion. Bringing you the feeling. And so because that feeling, you've connected it to going to Disneyland with your family, that's what it has to manifest because you've told it that's what you assign to that feeling. Now, you have assigned on your check $50,000. It could be 57,000, it could be 46,000. The universe, of course, still doesn't assign money to your feeling. It will bring it to you. And so what that looks like, which many people miss all the time because part of manifestation is that third step is to be aware, right? So to be aware in the present, identify those things that are coming to you. Because if you're not paying attention, they'll just go right by you, the opportunities. So what that looks like is, okay, an example. So you have something happens to your truck. You know that it's going to cost $5,000 to fix this, like my transmission blew, whatever it is. However, come to find out, it was something that was smaller or a part that they could get, and that only cost $2,000. The universe has brought you $3,000. If you do not pick up on that, because it's not going to be, you're not going to get a check for $50,000 in the bank, in the mail. It's going to be additional income or savings or gifts. So maybe there's a saddle that you've always wanted or one of your family members always wanted and somebody gifted it to you. What's that worth? That's where the gratitude comes into play. And so people don't usually connect receiving gifts from the universe as being grateful for those no matter what they are. And so if you're not aware of what's going on around you and taking into consideration all of the gifts or the discounts or the whatever, or the additional income, even if it's incremental, if you're not paying attention to that to see that it will add up
over the course of, your time that you're wanting, if you stay focused on that, you're going to miss it. And when you miss it, you can't be grateful for it because you're not saying, if you didn't know, if you didn't think about, you know what, that could have been a $5,000 bill for that transmission, but I was able, they did me a favor at the dealership, whatever it is, and I actually got away with only, 3,000 or 2,000. Thank you for the receiving of the $3,000. If you're not paying attention and you can't be grateful for that, and when you're not grateful for it, it won't bring it to you. That's how those things are connected.
Would I be correct in my understanding that you're also watching for opportunities maybe where you could generate additional income? You could do this and that would generate 10 grand or whatever
Yes.
it may be. But you have to be aware of those opportunities that are presented.
And that's where the action comes in. So the topic that Sean and I most have conversations about are taking action. So I'm fully about action. And so sometimes, and then this is where I go back to Brad all the time. If you want to have a conversation about action, you need to go talk to Brad because he's made this work for him. So his, he has his own version of meditation, which is his workout. So he's figured out how to use it. So he's unlocked, he's paid attention, and then he's personalized it. And that's also something that we talk about. You have to personalize it. What's going to work for you doesn't work for you, doesn't work for you. So, but Brad had latched onto the tail of that dragon, and you can see where he is now because he took action. So he was really afraid in the very beginning to take a job that he might not like. And so my conversation with him was, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, you're taking action because you know that at least it's going to bring you this income. And if you keep doing your meditation, your gratitude, if you keep doing the things, that will manifest a better job, working with better people, better opportunity. And you can see how he has leapfrogged over the last couple of years because he took that advice and he took action. He didn't want to take that action. He was certain he was going to hate it. And he might have for 6 months. But if you keep doing your steps, keep doing, all of your things, that will change. But I feel that the universe, for me, because I'm an action-oriented person, for me, I show my gratitude, I show my respect, I show my mentor, the universe, that I'm listening by taking action. Here's not a gift, but this is how I'm paying you back. I'm not sitting here waiting for you to drop it right on my head. I'm going out and this is how I pay attention.
Well,
So
the
yes.
gift is usually, the action is usually something new. It's a different version of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the secret said.
Mm-hmm.
People just can't sit on their couch and go, I've asked the universe, I'm waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you have to take some action.
Now, full disclosure, as Brad was I'm saying it louder so the mic picks me up. Go. But the point is that when he made the decision to grab this tail of this new dragon, he was getting his ass kicked. His son-in-law speaks. Challenges with his stepdaughter. Challenges with brother. Challenges with her. Challenges with friends that were friends forever. And he would call me or call Michelle or we'd be together and I go, Brad's on the phone. And he's like, I don't know if I can do this. This is just, his ex leaves, takes the kids, isn't supposed to be able to take the child out of county. Takes him to someplace. And he says, well, I got to go in with the attorney. I go, here's what you say. Oh, I'm not going to say that. Here's what you say.
When he did it, so I remember one thing I think he shared it on the call was he actually went and said thank you to the ex.
When he stood in front of the house of the ex and who she's marrying. Tell the rest of that. Do you remember it?
I don't remember the whole story, but I remember he went to say thank you. Thank you for taking care of me.
And they both stood on the porch waiting for the argument. And he said, I just want to say thanks for being a good mom. I just, and listen, you, right?
Yeah.
And you, listen, you're a good stepdad. I know maybe I've been an ass, I don't know, but I just want to say thank you. I'll get better.
So what was that? Action. He took action that he did not want to do. He didn't want.
This is where it's so critical to understand. I'm only responsible for me. Epictetus said, for those of you with desire, put it on the shelf. Until you decide what's within your circle of influence and what's out. They could have said, shh, they could have pulled a gun and said, get off the property.
Yeah.
His heart was clear.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge when we met was he was struggling with the death of his daughter in the car accident that he was in. And us having the conversations, and he came out here and it was the birthday of her when he was sitting.
Oh, the very first, yeah, our very first event was her birthday weekend. And do you remember the butterflies? So she either liked to draw or loved butterflies. And I've had these metal butterflies forever. And that's one of the first things. It was like the last thing we put in the truck, moving truck. So it was the first thing out. So it was unpacked. So I stuck them on the trees. So when you drove in, he saw the butterflies. And he said, when I drove in, I knew it was supposed to be here.
Right, we
So
all get the chills, right?
Yeah.
Did I buy the butterflies in Franklinburg, Texas for the event?
No, but yes.
Were they the last things packed because they were for the event? Man plans, God laughs. It's when you pay attention to what's next, not what was.
Man plans what?
God laughs.
God
God
laughs.
laughs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he thinks some of us are professional comedians.
anyway, I use Brett all the time as an example for taking action, especially action that you don't want to take. Stepping out there, saying, I'm gonna do this. I know I have to do something.
So let me ask you that. So what is it that, because you, over the last 3 years, just with the ranch, has had to do, we slept on hammocks with Fiona in our lap on the hammock.
Yep.
And no air conditioning.
Right.
That wasn't on your bucket list.
No, but I knew that if I didn't take action, so knowing what I want, cutting out pictures, bless you. Knowing what I knew what I wanted, knowing what I wanted, cutting out pictures, writing down details. Writing down details about what I wanted for, a decade. Very clear. I even was able to meditate and visualize myself exactly here. I didn't know it until after we were here, but never taking action. So the only action I would take is every time we would go on vacation, I would look at property. And so it's like, oh, well, I don't know, I don't know. And so I just basically started having open conversations with the universe saying, well, at this point, if I don't do something soon, I'm going to have to build, a assisted living facility on the property, because not a house, but at some point, if I don't
Everywhere.
right. I'm like, you gotta do something here. And so I just basically.
Hang on,
Mhm.
You got your thought? Where you going?
Mhm.
What does that sound like? Doesn't that sound like Napoleon Hill? Use your noodle to get the boodle.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna drive me crazy. I had to ask. You're gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
You just heard it. You've got to get that mad. You've got to get that enough is enough. You got to do something. And it wasn't only for telling the universe. It was like, tell me what I'm not hearing. Right? You heard me say a couple of times this morning, I should go pull a board. If I didn't go pull a board and get the one bale of hay that the sheep didn't destroy, the lake would have flowed over the dam. I was able to put the one bale of hay up in front of the pipe, the culvert.
Okay.
It was that far from going over.
Uh-huh.
And if I didn't stop the water from coming over from Jones, it would have been crested over the thing.
Yeah, and then you'd have a
So, but that was in my head.
Longer drive here.
I should go pull a board. It's like, it's raining out. I'm gonna go get wet, go pull the board. So that's just, you gotta listen. But that was the universe going, you gotta do something. I don't wanna go get wet.
then I have to take a shower, then I have to come in warm ups and,
It's an intuition.
but you gotta pay attention to that voice, so continue. Yeah, you said, I gotta do something. You gotta do something.
Yeah, and in my whole conversation, my conversations switch, or my meditations, whatever you want to call them, switch from focusing on what I wanted to focusing on or asking for help. So my first action was asking for help. It's like, and then I tend, because it's just my personality, I tend to manifest big things when I'm pissed off.
No.
Oh.
And guess who is a good person to help her get there?
Right. Oh, so, but you have to be careful because you can manifest bad things, right? And so I learned years ago that it doesn't matter. The universe doesn't care what kind of, if it's bad, if you're joyful or if you're really mad, it's still a heavy emotion. And the more intense that emotion is from left to right, if it sits on those ends somewhere, that's where you're going to manifest. So you manifest highly out here, in here, you're just wishful thinking, so just going with the emotions, right? So, so for me, I learned years ago that I could manifest because I manifested really bad things years ago when I was really mad. And so it occurred to me before I heard about, I can't even remember who talks about that, it doesn't matter what the emotion is, but that if I felt myself go into that bad emotion, that negative emotion, that I could immediately switch to thinking about the things that I want. So if I take that emotion and I immediately pull the visions up of, property or going to Disneyland or whatever, it will bring those things to you. But you can't sit in the negative emotion. You can't think about bad things when you're in that negative emotion. You have to immediately identify you're there and then flip what you're thinking about, because then the universe says, I'm gonna bring it to you. And then if you trick it and think about the things that you want, it will flood in. So, so that's something I learned. So I I basically felt like Mason was coming up for graduation, and I knew we were gonna have to sell the house anyway because it was huge in Dallas. And I'm like, he's gonna go off to school, blah, blah, blah. What are we gonna do? I gotta make a move now. And then I started having conversations with the universe saying, I need help understanding what I'm supposed to do next, or why. Can you tell me why I can only dream about this, but I don't feel like I'm scared to take, am I scared to be successful? I do not love that phrase at all. And I'm so scared to be successful. What does that mean? Who is scared to be successful? Well, I guess I was, in trying to find a piece of property. And picking, because my block is if I make a decision, it's final. So I don't like to make the decision because I might find somebody. I would actually probably lay down and die if I bought this property and then the perfect property that I had actually visioned come on the market tomorrow, right? That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. So I'm having conversations with the universe saying, what is wrong with me? Like, how do you fix this? And so it switched from this is what I want to asking, what am I supposed to do here? Can you please tell me? I'm going to leave it up to you to bring me signs, and I'm going to be more open and in the moment to recognize them. So that's my commitment to you, if you help me here. And so things started to change because things going through my mind, I can't buy property because I have a job. I have to go. I work for Charles Schwab in Dallas. I can't go, buy property wherever. I'm going to have to commute back. I can't do this, or I can't remember what those things were. Now there's a laundry list of them. I can't, the house, don't even have the house on there. And then of course I had a friend who was a real estate agent that came over and she goes, you're gonna have to redo everything. I'm like, what? Oh my God, it's gonna, who's gonna do that? Right. So anyway, and so that all of these obstacles are things that I thought were obstacles. And so when I started talking to the universe, so my action was talking to the universe saying, I need you to help me with making the decision and what I'm supposed to do next. And so then it immediately started lining up things. So house wasn't even on the market. Got a phone call. You want to sell your house? okay, well, I need to updo that. No, they don't want you to do anything. They're gonna gut the house and redo it. We want it just like it is, right? So then,
So the budget for $100,000 asking was the number we were told. They didn't know what we were asking.
right, so,
We didn't gig them on it. We said, no, we'll take what we want. So we got 4 dogs at the time,
no, we had 3 dogs.
3 dogs.
We had 3 dogs. So what the property found us. I don't know if you heard that story, but this property, it wasn't on the market. It found us. So, and then I wasn't sure because I always wanted the property to be right on the lake so that I could have the boat pull right up. And so in the end, our friend Lisa Grossman, helped us walk through that decision. And she said, listen, she goes, she said, how often do you think you're actually going to go out on that water? Like once a week, maybe in the winter, none, right? And I said, well, she goes, well, what are you gonna do with the dock and the boat those months? And I said, well, we're gonna go sit on the dock. And she said, so then you're just gonna go look at the water. And she said, okay, yeah. And so she said, well, if you had a lake view like this one is, she said, do you think you would see that every day? I'm like, well, of course. And she goes, well, let's just think about this in the, how many times you're going to go out in the boat? What's that worth to you? And compared to if you can see it every day, and then you can just go down the street and get in the boat, right? So I'm like, oh, that's what, because I was so dug in on it has to be lakefront.
This is.
Right. So these are things, so then the property I came out and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I love it, but it's not on the water, but, and so, huh? Well, when I first saw it, I hadn't even talked to Lisa yet. So she helped me get over the thing, but the property knew we were supposed to be here. So the whole thing were my phone and I had to come back, made me come back and here.
Took her on this whirlwind tour on the side by side.
Yeah, but I don't even, I didn't even get out of I didn't even get out of the cart. Like it didn't, so it's so weird. So, and then when the thing is,
She's working with Schwab. Her boss is the biggest
well, I'm a new boss.
wacko job and just would have her in tension. And the phone that she lost was her work phone that has all of the security codes on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so you can see how, and so I was here, came over to see the property. I had a call back over in Heber Springs an hour away at noon and I couldn't miss that because that was for work. But I went to get in so he took me all the way around this loop, like an hour on a cart in a loop around everything. And so, I went to get back, so he brought me back to the car and I don't have my phone. But I have to go, I have to get on and I don't have my phone, so I can't call in from here. So I have to go an hour back. So my drive back. And so then he and our other neighbor started looking for the phone. They retraced he said 3 times they went everywhere we went, couldn't find it. Cause I said, I'm going to turn around, come back or whatever. If you find it in time. And so they didn't find it. And so, on the way to Lisa's for, my call, I just basically said, I started asking the universe, I said, so what in the hell, what was that? Like, well, I said, I love this property, but, and then what, I didn't even get out of the cart. Where is my phone? Like, where could it have gone? And so, about 10 minutes later, I just started laughing because I'm talking to the universe, right? I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. I have to come back. I have to come back to get my phone. So after the call, I bring Sean back over here. And so we started where we started, which is actually right underneath Mason's barn, is where I pulled the car up and I met David and he took me on the cart. So but we were walking. So we walked the entire loop. So, and the thing is that we started and went the same way David did. We found the phone as plain as day, glistening in the sun. I don't know how anybody could have missed it, right in the middle of the path, about 15, 20 feet, whatever it is, from where we started. So we had to do the whole loop.
No, don't start here. That'd be too easy. Start here.
Well, you wouldn't have seen the property
and then show me the property.
because you came just to come over with me to get the phone.
So you had not seen the property?
No, he gave up,
This time.
right.
This is.
I gave up going to properties because for 8 years, Michelle would say, here's the address, and I get to the address, and it would be standing at the edge of a forest. And she goes, so what's it look like? "Well, the
Trees.
same damn trees you sent me to last time. Different for sale sign, 8 years of going to property, you need to go down a gravel road, down the, and, oh my God. I'm like, she says, you gotta see this property, I'm like,
So the property, so I get back and then that's when we had the conversation with Lisa. She goes, what do you think? I'm like, well, what's on the water? And then she's like, well, let's talk about that. So I don't know if you've ever met Lisa, right? So she's like, oh, let's talk about this, right? What exactly are you, trying to, and I'm like, hey, right? So things had to line up. So then, I'm like, okay, I think this is the one. So Sean loved it. I think this is the one. But
yes.
so, but all of these things. So then we got the phone call to sell the house because you have to sell the house. Okay, well then we got a phone call to sell the house. I'm like, they're gonna bring us back in after COVID to Charles Schwab. I can't work here. I can't commute to Dallas. How is this gonna work? And so, of course, it's, I don't know what switched or how they switched, the manager switched up and I didn't like my manager because I feel like I'm really loyal to companies. So I won't leave if I feel I'm connected to it. And so the universe brought in a big dick, right? So that helped out things a lot. And then, actually, while I was getting in the car at my sister's wedding, I got a phone call from a headhunter and said, hey, you can work remote, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna give you more than you're making now, blah, blah, blah. When you start next week? Yes. So then I had a job that I could work remote fully, right? So all of these things that I kept telling the universe.
Junior in high school and he has his senior year to finish.
Yeah, well, he finishes sinners, yeah.
We need to still stay. He needs to stay, Michelle needs to stay. We just sold the house, we sold the house, we gotta find a rental house in the school.
To get us to
district
June.
that'll take dogs.
3 dogs. They'll take dogs. Nobody
They
takes
gotta
3
carry
dogs.
40 pounds, but no, they gotta take 3 dogs, doesn't matter the size.
Right. Yeah, they won't take so.
Yeah.
So, and then we had a neighbor who knew someone, and she says, "No problem." And it was like under budget. It was like, and then we only needed it for 6 months, and she goes, "That's fine. How? Just do month to month." I'm like, "What?" Like all of these things that were, but, right? It's because I had that conversation with the universe and said, I need help in making the decision. I know what I want. I've told you that for 8, 10, 12 years. You know exactly what I want. Why am I having trouble getting past, making a decision? And so I just, and then when I have conversations with the universe, it's an actual open conversation. So, I was laughing. Well, I mean, like if I'm driving down the road, it's like somebody sitting next to me. Yeah, I actually talk out loud. Our son does this all the time. He's convinced people think that he's crazy, but he has conversations with himself out loud. I do that all the time. I'll sit in here. I'm not on the phone. I'm actually talking to myself. And so, I'm having conversations, and laughing and said, I always don't understand why I don't like to make decisions, but you know what I want. So why can't you just do this for me? If you're almighty, like, why aren't you just bringing it to me? Right. So it's like, these are the conversations I'm having with the universe.
And is that not fueled by the emotion that you're having right
now? Yes, because this is like, because I'm getting mad. I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, if you're so almighty, then you need to set it up and bring it to me. Like, why does it always have to be like a game? Why can't it be clearer? Like, why can't you just, I know you can't knock on the door.
Is that when we do the replay, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter.
And I talked about that.
Good guy to say, get your ass in the truck.
Yep.
And you didn't see any of those signs.
Right.
And usually sometimes it needs to be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
And was it a shift when you said, I need help in asking. I need asking for help.
Right.
To define what you, not define, but to express what you wanted instead of saying, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. Universe, I need help.
Yeah.
To express that.
Yeah. And that was just, and so, I don't know if it was feeling or what triggered that, but I changed the conversation. instead of focusing on, this is what I want. And I, in my mind, of course, I visualize the universe being, again, with this. God, it's like, okay, you've told me, this is boring. It's like I'm no longer listening. Like filing your nails and visuals in my head going on. And I'm like, this, what I want. What is not happening here? And then, the conversations are, I'm not getting any younger. I don't understand, and I'm going to be at the age where I can't even enjoy it. Now, how effed up is that? So these are the conversations I'm having with the universe here. And so that can't be right, because you're supposed to be, loving. And, I don't think, and then of course I go down rabbit holes. It's like, I grew up never believing that you're a vengeful God. I never believed that of you. But you still leave me hanging out here. Like I'm over here thinking you're just pure love, but I'm not feeling any of it. So having those conversations with the universe and saying, listen, I'm going to be totally open. So my commitment to you is I'm going to be totally open. I'm going to be present. I'm going to pick up on your clues, but I just need them to be a little more direct. Just a little, because I'm busy, busy, got a full-time job.
Busier than you.
Yeah.
I'm busier than you, but
I could be. Right. Right.
Tap the stone twice, we'll make you walk for 40 years.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, I'm busy. And I'm trying to, Mason's doing this and all this stuff, and I volunteered for this. That was stupid. Then of course I get on that conversation. That was so dumb. Why'd I do that? So anyway, in these conversations, I just said, can you just be a little more direct? Or if nothing else, can you at least give me a feeling? So, you don't have to knock on the door, whatever. And then when I started asking for that help and just saying, listen, you're the Almighty. I'm putting it in your hands. It's okay if you decide that I shouldn't have this and I'm going to live here forever, or that's fine if that's but I'm leaving it in your hands. I'm giving this over to you. And I'm not going to think about it anymore until we talk tomorrow. So, right. And so that's when the actual phone calls came. That's when the actual, so those, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, hey, big dummy, I'm just going to call you now. So I'm like, okay. So then my conversations were like, oh, thanks. Sold the house.
And trusting.
Right. But
Even
you
if
have
it
to
wasn't
ask
for
for it.
24 hours,
Right. Right. And the thing is that you have to have that trust in the universe and having that conversation saying, I'm going to hand this over to you. And then being cognizant of, you have to move past just setting up in visuals or in conversations what you want. There has to be some action somewhere. And then because I promised, if you bring it to me, I'll take action. So my first action was, hey, I need help. And I promise that if you make this a little easier for me to figure out, I will be present and I will take action on those. So everything. So when the phone call came in, there was no negotiation. There was anything they wanted. Yep, we're selling the house. Where do I sign? Boom. Of course, it was more than what we wanted, but that's what's set up for, for us, right?
Oh, gee, that's terrible.
Right. But I'm just saying there was no intent, and then the whole, this thing and then the job. When she called and she said, do you think you can interview tomorrow? And I said, well, I'm at a wedding, but absolutely I will. I told my sister, I said, if I've got to interview while you're taking your vows, I'm sorry. I'm out. Because this is connected to my dream. And she knew that. She goes, whatever you need to do. Because she knows. So those, and then you just need to pay attention and take the action. You've got to let the fear go. So anyway, that's a long story.
Well, and
You said there at the end,
Mm-hmm.
let the fear go.
Yes.
I think that's a whole lot. You've expanded everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you, and that's the thing is that in the conversations, or I had resolved myself to saying, this is either going to come to me or it's not, and I'm going to be okay either way.
Well,
huge.
letting go of the fear is, that's standing in front of the stove and saying, give me heat.
right.
So they can't give you heat till you give you some wood. And letting go of the fear is giving that the heat, the wood to start the fire. Because as soon as you let that go, a call happens. Evidence will come in. We talk about our book of evidence.
Mhm.
There's 1,000 pieces of evidence in every one of your books. And the only reason you have the evidence is because you let go of a fear you don't remember letting go of. You only remember the evidence. It's like every bank robber. Once they got the money, they don't, all of the planning and everything else, they don't remember the fear of doing, right?
Putting it
So you
together.
literally robbed the universe of what was already yours. And letting go of the fear is the fuel to say, I'll give you the evidence. Just give me that much of your fear. Just turn it over and say, okay, I'm not worried. That literally within 24 hours.
That's my
Three hours.
3.5 hour drive last
I
night.
do.
Hey, let go. We're just gonna drive, let go.
No, it'll get easier, and it says, and I said, you're gonna be a speaker sometime when Sean gets to the conference center, something like that. So I will be back.
You heard that. Diane said she'll be back, no matter what.
Right?
Yeah, I wanted to share what you had mentioned about the awareness. So remember when we, 4 months ago, before we were in here, you gave us the payment thing.
Right.
So my goal was, I'm doing good, making money to cover my 4 months, but didn't realize how, but one of the things was I got a treadmill that I was looking for free, but that was worth something, I didn't pay for it. And when I shared it with John, goes, that counts, because I said, not even sure if that counts, and John goes, yeah, it counts. So this awareness, like when you're saying, okay, your transmission would have cost you $5, but it was something else, and it only cost you $2,000. So the universe just gifted us the 3,000.
Right.
And I think that awareness is something I'm missing. You know, I just kind of overlook it like, yeah, I'm still looking for that $200. Well, I just received something. Missed it.
Absolutely.
So,
And then not only recognizing it, but then being grateful for it.
yeah.
Because it'll happen more and more often once you say, oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
And so all 4 of my payments were covered somehow, somebody, as I was starting to realize and being aware of the benefits and the things I was grateful for, that was done like in 2 months.
Yep.
And I was like, oh.
Well, part of it again was you wanted to work easier. You call us and you go, oh my gosh, my company just sent me this huge order. Right? And it just everything. So when the universe is like, I've got everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
Oh, you
what
guys want blankets? I have ones that don't have holes in it. That's not even here. This one's better. That's got so many holes in it. Doesn't even keep it warm. It's only pretty. There you go.
It is.
This one's better. No holes. Yes, I can turn it on the dry. You guys are warm, are cold. Actually, if I just dry it out a little bit.
Tell me what event you're.
No.
to that you can put your feet up.
Dry. 68.
I would be out if I did.
Sure.
I know.
Take that to the-
Sure.
I could be.
Oh, wait. I know, it's just gonna put it over there. Oh, okay.
Now here, hang up over here. Here. So that you have a place to sit.
You're being hung up over there, so.
Yeah.
Me going, where'd you put it? So, Michelle. With. all of this 12 years. 8 years sending me on goose chase.
Mhm. Yeah, every vacation had to be around
Every
looking for
vacation
property.
had to be someplace where we would want to live. We would take our friends and we would go to North Carolina, who would want to be in North Carolina on the lake, and we'd rent an Airbnb.
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
Beaver Lake. Yeah.
At some point, you stopped seeking, and the 12 years of everything turned into a year.
Mm-hmm.
What was that transition so that everybody, as they listen to this, oh my God, I don't know if I got 8 years of doing this.
Oh yeah, that was just the first
Right.
7.5, 3/4 of a years were insanity.
So what would you suggest if you were somebody's gonna say they're gonna pay you $100,000 to learn the secret?
Mm-hmm.
What would be the secret that they can take the next 18 months and go from where they are to the dream without the other?
So 7.5 years, I was stuck in fear.
Okay, so.
Okay, so what if I did, because there would be conversations like, oh my God, I could buy this house today. And then it immediately went into, okay, well, I can't work here. There's nothing around here. I'd have to sell my house and my son's in school and, and. So I was, then it immediately followed with excuses. And so, what if the perfect property came along or the perfect thing came along and are you ready to actually take advantage of it? Most people aren't. So I spent 12 years, however many years that was, minus 6 months, in that space. Just dreaming, that's all you're doing is dreaming about what I would love. Like if I didn't have to, if I was retired and I was a billionaire and I, then I'd buy this house. Right? Right? But, I'm not gonna be there. That's not gonna happen, right? Or, and so, but I can have this. I've just gotta be, if it's brought to me, am I gonna actually pick it up? And the universe knew I wasn't going to. It's like, okay, here's another beautiful house. You gonna buy it? No. No. No, you're not gonna buy it. You're just gonna bug about 150 other real estate agents over the next 10 years, right? Yeah, so that's where the action comes in. And I knew that it was fear because every one of the conversations that I was having following what, I was saying is like, oh, how's that gonna work? I couldn't do that or whatever. And so I connected that to fear.
There's something like this last month, like, oh.
Yes, Mason was graduating. I knew we were gonna be a 4,000 square foot house by ourselves and I wasn't getting any younger.
Constant action, it wasn't necessarily the big action, you were an action. What we like, okay.
I feel like the first however many years it was the same action over and over again.
Oh, I see.
And that action was telling the universe what I wanted. And they're like, okay, here we go again. It's like- Right. I was putting out to the universe. I was putting out to the universe what I wanted. And it kept bringing me those opportunities. Like, oh, okay, you're gonna go vacation, in, up in Beaver Lake, Bentonville, Arkansas. You're gonna go vacation there? Okay.
And every place that we went, except for Tennessee, is that we had friends that lived there. We started going up.
Oh,
there
yeah.
Because of, the folks from.
Mitch, Kentelly,
Yeah,
the Kentellys. Yeah, so, and they told us about it.
And
so-
I started to get that area, we never used to do, this is when I was doing estate planning. We never had that area to go do events in. So I said, hey, why don't we go to Rogers in Bentonville, Arkansas? Would you travel that far? Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So then we
Now
go?
I can go up there, work. Yeah, I can go up there.
I know, somebody knows Bentonville, right?
Yeah.
And go look at.
Well, they have a beautiful lake up there, Beaver Lake. We started looking there. The only reason we moved here is because Lisa, right? So, and Miranda and the Higginbothams. Oh, yeah, since, decades.
Said that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we know it. Yeah. And then Josh and Miranda. So they live up here too. They're the ones that brought Lisa here. So it's like everybody kind of reels everybody else in. So, they just live on the complete opposite side of the
And then they
lake.
wanted us to buy, there was plenty of houses over there to buy on Eden Isle. That would have been, well, you're near the marina and no, now we didn't even have a lake view and nor lake water.
Yeah. So anyway,
So what was the transition? So yes, timing, right? So the deadline got put on it for her.
yeah, I
Mason
felt.
graduated.
I felt that I had a really strong sense of running out of time. That's what it felt like to me. And I didn't, I mean,
Well, a certain, what do they call those stages of life was gonna die. It was gonna end whether
Doing
you
this
said so
building
or
and
not.
assisted living, and I thought, yeah,
Right.
that's a time.
yeah, that's a time. Yeah, and then Mason, we were gonna be empty nesters and, then I was gonna have to move anyway. And then, I know. Yeah, well, that was dread for me. So I was like,
So think about that. That was dread. Mason going off and not being there and just, right, we're working.
oh yeah, because that's another piece of the puzzle.
But
The
that-
whole thing is that it must have been connecting with his fear and my fear, and he got an offer to play lacrosse here.
Wow.
That was after we got the
in
property.
Conway.
So he's only an hour away.
And then within
So he drives to
5
school.
weeks of playing lacrosse, done. Because the coach turned out to be a jackhole.
Well, Mason
and-
got hurt.
and
Mason got hurt.
So a variety of things there, because he really didn't want to play. He thought,
Well, he
It
was
was
going
just
after the scholarship. So he got a scholarship.
so he got a scholastic scholarship, not an athletic scholarship, but he got asked to play. They didn't ask him to come for a scholarship, for his education. So what gave him the scholarship was his education. What brought us here was his athletic ability, which wasn't the reason for the scholarship, so he didn't have to make, do you see how all of this gets played out?
Wow.
Yeah.
And the dread of those two being apart, because remember, when he was growing up, I was traveling 31
Right.
countries,
Right.
right? I'm multi-million miler on 3 different airlines. Right? 13 cities, 13 countries in a 4-week trip. So these two were together. And I would get phone calls, Mason bit a kid in kindergarten. Mason. But they have such a close relationship that that dread was a real thing, that all of a sudden he spent the first 3 weeks of college there and said, I'm done. He said, I'll drive. And so now he's.
Yeah, he had his first year, he had a room and board, and he's just like, this is for the birds. This is awful. So he got locked out naked out of his dorm room.
So
Oh,
Michelle,
boy.
when you said that you asked for help, you asked help from the universe or from people as well? And how did it feel? Because that's where I could feel like being in your footsteps, because that's where I am.
So, I asked the universe. So I went there and, and just basically said, what I want. I need you, and I know you bring clues. I'm obviously not picking up on them. And I'm really afraid. So just have a candid conversation. I'm really afraid that if I don't do something now, I'm never going to do it. And so I'm just going to have to resolve myself to moving to Jacksonville Beach, living next door to my sister, which is going to make him so happy. When I retire, right?
Now,
So,
and let's throw in you know how sometimes you have a negative Nelly spouse? Imagine being married to me. And being the positive Pam. Well, just think about it. Just you and that, would you just go do something? Right? And I'm saying you've got to write it down. You've got to do that. And it doesn't matter even if it's the thing. You will resist it because it's who you're with.
Yep.
So there was a part of me that had to, her love language, as you can tell, is service. I'm not this, I don't.
it's not service. I'm going to manifest this in my journal. I told you the action part is where we not going to enter.
So different things had to happen. There needed to be an alignment or an action or something, but there had to be a concert effect, right? A symphony effect. So, because now the next thing is like, oh my God, I like this. I think Sean will like it. And then I say, go, yeah, get it. Let's done. But we want it. That's it. It's look at it. And then when you walk over there, oh my gosh, look at that. But we still hadn't sold the house. We didn't have the offer on the house yet.
I didn't have a job. Well, I had a job, but I
didn't have a
couldn't.
job. There's no reason to have this. And then over at this corner at the bottom on the south driveway, I'm with David, and things were working out. Things were in the right path. This was the first agreement. I shake hands and I said, whatever it takes, this is done. So we shook hands, which that later came into effect on the third go around.
Yeah, and so the fear.
Well, we had it, the contract went away. Second time we had it, contract went away. The third,
Let's go away.
we disagree on the final paperwork.
Our last item was the mineral rights. So this property has minerals on it, and the Bentlets kept them. So I had to let it go. That was hard. I wanted everything.
Well, there's oil or gas underneath here. They can send somebody in to drill
Right.
because they own the mineral rights.
They don't have riparian rights. They only have the gas and the mineral rights. But anyway, and the problem with that is that if somebody else has the rights, they can make decisions on whether they can drill here. So if you want the rights because you want to be able to dictate if they can drill on your property or not. And so David was kind enough to walk me through. They didn't, it's caught up in a family trust, so they didn't want to go through the pain of disassembling that, just to sell this piece of property. He walked me through and very patient and walked me through the fact that they can't actually drill here because it's too close to the water. So it can never drill. But anyway, and that comes into, another step of this was, you can't really get a loan on just property. It's hard to get a loan on property. You either have to have a house on it or you have to have a building, and we weren't ready to even make a decision on what we wanted to build. And so one of the last contracts is I had gone back and I told Rita, the wife, and I said, listen, I said, all of these things are falling in place. I said, but we can't get a loan because we're not ready to build right now. She goes, that's okay. She goes, I'll give you a 5-year loan. Like, what? Who does that? Right? So yeah. And then we've asked them several times, like, I don't understand why it was so easy.
Let us have it.
Yeah, right.
Every time they come up and every time they'll be at I don't know if they're coming to dinner tonight.
I didn't invite them.
So, but whenever they come to the event, she always comes up to me. She's this peanut of a powerhouse, and she hugs me and she says, "This is why you have it."
Yeah, because she said she saw our vision, because we took him to dinner before we made the first offer, and then said, this is what we want to do with it. And so she's like, I'm in. Right. So yeah, because we stole this property. We've been told several times by people in town who have looked up on the public records, like, you stole that property. We know. And they gave us some mortgage on it. So, a note on it. But back to Christina's question is, the trigger for me was that I felt like I was running out of time. And so I switched from telling the universe what I wanted to saying, listen, universe, I feel like I'm running out of time. If I don't do something right now, I'm never going to do it. It's just going to be, I can't keep dragging my family around looking for property and never doing anything. But I'm having trouble getting past all of these things that I feel need to happen to make this work. I know I'm not supposed to question you when it comes to, putting down on paper or putting out there what I want, you're going to make it happen. I'm not supposed to question how it's going to happen. But here's some things you need to know. First of all, I have to have a job unless you're going to, unless I'm going to win the lottery of some sort. And so, these are the things that I'm struggling with. Right. So these are the things I'm struggling with, the job and the this and the that. And I said, how hard it is for me to make a decision. I don't like making decisions. I'd rather have things done to me and then deal with it than to have to make a decision. I remember when I was in like 4th grade, my mother went to Eckerd Drugs. I don't even know if those are around anymore. And she bought me folders for the beginning of school. And she bought me like 2 ring binders in 2 colors, and the ones with the little paper ones with the flaps in them and the little dog ear things. And then she bought something else folder. I broke out in tears because I couldn't make a decision as to which one I wanted to use. It would have just been much better for her just to bring me home one, and I would have used that. That's my personality. I've known it since then. I'm like, I would rather not make the decision. So, these are conversations I'm having with the universe going, how I am. And I'm struggling with this. And so I would rather you know what I want. Could you please just set it up? If you're all powerful, I just need you to set this up. And if you bring it to me, I'm going to react. I'm not going to say, oh, I think there's something better, or, oh, I think, this isn't going to work, or I'm not sure. If I know you're bringing it to me, I'm going to act on that. And I'm going to follow each one of these little stepping stones. That's what I'm promising you. I'm not going to, because I know that in the past, you've brought me stuff and I haven't done anything with it. And you're like, I've got other people who know what the hell they want and who are going to take action that I could spend more time with. If you just want to play this game for another 12 years, we can do that too. So anyway, so then when I started, yes, I was like, sweating bullets, but when I started acting on those items, when the phone call came in, you want to sell your house? Right. Well, when the phone call came in and said, do you want to sell your house? Have someone wants to buy it. The only thing I said was yes. I didn't even ask them they didn't ask me how much. I didn't ask them how much they were offering. I'm like, yes. And she goes, well, we'll send an offer over. I'm like, do you want to come see the house? No. We saw the pictures when it was listed before online. No, they didn't.
They sent the real estate agent with a video camera.
Yeah. So she walked through it just, before we closed. But, because they were in California.
Said yes. 'Cause you made a
Well,
decision.
because,
Decision.
yeah, well, it was a decision because, well, and the thing is that, I knew it, I
Yes
don't,
was evidence.
well.
Hang on. I know you're the one experiencing it.
Yeah.
But I just want, the process is that she had the conversation, the clue came, made a commitment to her promise, said yes, and then all hell broke loose.
I felt that so I knew it was brought to me. Because one of the things I listed that I was struggling with is that we would have to sell the house. And so when that
Here's
phone
the
call
thing, I had-
came,
Hang on, it was,
Uh-huh.
you got a letter.
the first was a letter.
Yeah, but so, how many of you would you like to sell your house?
Oh, yeah.
And this came and it was like that, Michelle went, this one stood out.
Yeah.
There was something different about this letter that said, I have a buyer in Houston who would like to buy your house. And if you know Michelle and her personality, when she has that little bit of sarcasm.
What?
What is that? What do you,
What do you mean?
what do you mean? I think somebody wants to buy the house. Why don't you now, I don't know if she's having all these other conversations. So, just so that you know.
Oh,
all
you're unaware of all that.
I'm unaware, I know the DMP.
Yeah.
But I don't know all of the process she's going through to get to the DMP. I don't know, I mean, I know she talks to herself, but I don't know if she's running around telling the universe going, hey, use your noodle to get the boodle, this is stupid, you gotta help me.
Yeah.
So when the letter comes, I'm like, well, isn't that cool? Somebody wants to buy our house through a letter, does that really work? So she makes a phone call.
I texted them and they called me.
Then they said, yeah, let's do it. And Michelle's like, this could be real. And we had just pulled it off the market because somebody said your house smells like an old person's home.
Because I had
That's what we
a
had
Yankee
candle
candle
burning.
burning. Oh, I have antiques. I have a lot of antiques. And so you got a millennial walking through there going, this smells like my grandmother's house. I'm like, well, good. Because she probably has some things. That's okay.
So it was right after that. But you see what your enemy's doing. Your house isn't worth anything.
Exactly.
And then, my friend is saying, you're probably gonna have to rip all this out and that out. And I'm like, gee, I'm just gonna die. I'm just gonna be here. And this is where we're gonna be. Because I'm not gonna.
But you see how and Emerson says the most difficult thing is for you to have the idea of a sustained thought. To have the DMP, to have the lake property. I'm just gonna live here. Your house smells like an old person's home. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And pull them out. We can't get this if we don't sell the house. So we take it off the market. We have our first agreement, we go, God, you're gonna figure this out. We have our first agreement, and then we decide we're not going through with the property. The first agreement is pulled away. And we lose it, but we still keep coming up.
Yeah, because then the question comes is like, okay, we're not agreeing. We haven't come to a final agreement on buying this place, but now we're going to sell our house. So now we're going to be homeless and no property. So, but there was no question about it because the thing is that when I recognized, and of course, when I told and it's okay to tell the universe, can you make these easier to spot? Can you, I'm not bright enough or something, whatever the conversation is, like, hello. And it will do it because it did, hey, we got the letter and then the phone call. You want to sell your house? Oh, yes, I do. Let's make a deal. Right. And so, and when I wasn't sure about when the letter, but I texted and said, I got this letter. You can call me if you want to. Here's my number. And so, but when I got the phone call and I picked up the phone, the very first thing I did was started laughing because I said, okay, this is you, universe. Because it was one of the very first things that I told the universe that I had to fix, right? So, and then of course I couldn't say no because I'd already made a pact. So that's like, promising God that, if my mom doesn't die of cancer, I'll never eat chocolate again, right? So would you, and then she's miraculously cured. Are you gonna eat chocolate again? Really? Are you gonna test that kind of thing? I don't know, So, anyway, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to sell the house. And so, yes, there were thoughts that, okay, this property is going to fall through here and we're not going to have a house, but we knew we needed to downsize. So I'm full in. And then the whole thing with that's what I said, when I got that phone call, it was out of the blue because she had my phone number from like 2 years ago when I had applied to another job. She remembered me. The headhunter remembered me. She goes, I had this opening. So I'm coming, I was in the car from the airport and like I said, at my sister's wedding. And she said, oh, are you available for an interview tomorrow? And my sister's getting married tomorrow. And so I just said, yeah, I just said yes. Because I told the universe I would. And then, and I hung up and I realized that my sister's wedding is tomorrow.
But
And so I turned to her and I said, listen, this was a headhunter to get the job, to get me where I want to live, because she had already been up here to see the property and stuff. So she's all in. And I said, and if the timing is that they want to talk to me during your wedding, I will see you at the reception. She's like, let's go. No, it was perfect timing. I had the interview in the middle, I had the interview in the morning and then she had an afternoon wedding. Yeah, so I had my hair in rollers and I had to take them down. But the good thing is I was already dolled up for the wedding for my interview.
it's working against you, but it's really working for you.
Mhm.
You change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. The fear is that when you don't know, at the hindsight, it's always perfect.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly.
But it's never perfect when you're going through it.
Right.
It's never perfect when you're going through it. It's when you look at it hindsight, you're like, oh my God, this was perfect. But because you're going after something you've never had, you can't see what you have to go through to get what you've never had. It's why it's the perfect storm of failure and stuckness, because I want what I've never had. I gotta think a way I've never thought. I've got to do a way I've never done and feel a way I've never felt. That's disaster. They want to buy the house. Yes. Oh shit.
Exactly.
That's working for me. Now it's working against me. Now we got to go rent a house. We got to go do this. We got to go do it. Well, you can have the property. Oh shit.
Mhm.
All of the things you want that you've never been. It's an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
But asking the universe for help, yes. But also not being fearful to ask people. So if you're lined up, because I put it out there with my friends, had a dinner party or whatever and said, oh, we got the houses on the market, right? We took it off the market and then somebody bought it, sight unseen, basically. So we're going, in 30 days and we don't have a place, we're homeless, basically. And Mason has to stay here. So of course, around the table was like, well, he can live with us for 6 months if you want to move up there. No big deal. Just move him into the extra bedroom, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's an option, right? So all these things.
Mason wasn't absolutely loving it.
Right. No, he was like, well, in the end, he was a bachelor. He had that house to himself for like 6 months and all his friends. Yeah. So, yeah.
Go back-
Yeah.
Go back, if you will, to the oh shit moment
Mhm.
and where we need to be to get through the oh shit moment.
So the process was tell the universe, I need direction. Make the pact. I'll say yes. Right? You've seen the movies. Yes, man. Just say yes to everything. Yes, man. And then figure it out. You hear Branson say,
Yeah.
jump and make the parachute on the way down. Those are oh shit moments. So when I shook his hand over here, I was like, oh. Right, but the third time, the reason they say is, and he said to me, man to man, he said, the reason you guys are getting it is because we shook hands on it before all of this other stuff happened. So the oh shit moment is, I've never been here before. Being able to pause in that same breath and say, that's a good thing. And I love that. That's where the I love that came from. I've never been here before. And I love that. Because if I've been here, it ain't the new thing. Right? You've been here before. This is still a new thing. You've never sat in the chair
Oh my
lounging.
gosh, Sean, just now I thought I heard this story, but I heard it different this time. And more information.
12 years she heard the story in her own head. Until it was like,
Oh shit.
oh shit.
But the oh shit moment, if you've had the conversation, you've committed to getting what you want, and you've had that conversation with the universe, and you guys have kind of lined out, this is what I expect you to do, and this is what I'm gonna do, kind of thing. When you have that oh shit moment, it's like, oh my God, this is actually happening, whatever, or is this it? You've got to continue to, so it's the trust, right? So it's the belief. It's the
And it's, gotta be 100% because you have never been here before.
It's faith. That's your faith part of your manifestation.
And then how do you throw gratitude into that?
Well, you,
Because you're scared as hell, like every breath. How are you? How do you
well, I mean,
transition
because,
that?
I mean, how could these were very clear. It's like, oh my God, my house is selling for more than we even had it, we had it asked for, we had it marketed. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, right? So how could you not be grateful? It's like when the guy, the headhunter called, and it's like, oh my God, this is perfect, because then I can work remotely, blah, blah, blah. This is awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. These are like big moments that, of course, you'd have the gratitude part. So, which is part of the manifestation.
Where does love fit into this process?
Love of,
How much more do you love me?
no, I don't think that was it.
No, it's always there.
It's always there. So the love of, yes. So is that what you're talking about? Where does the love? Or the
My
faith?
gut is telling me that love is an important part of this process.
Okay,
And it could be, love
You're right.
of someone, love of your dream.
right.
Love of the process,
That kind
love
of,
of embracing the fear,
Love of
love,
yourself.
I don't know.
so I would put love is part of your emotions. And your emotions come in that second step of manifestation. So the first part is being very clear about what you want, right? Down to the details. And then moving into what we would call like a meditative, whatever you call meditation, whatever that looks like for you. And then that's where when you go into that meditation, you're visualizing and you're becoming calm, and it's the emotions that you're connecting to the things that you've told the universe that you wanted.
In my mind, gratitude is a very high emotion, but love is a little high.
Okay.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah. So yeah.
But you have to love yourself first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to do those things.
Well, you have to have confidence, right? So you have to have confidence that you're going to follow through with what you in those conversations that you've had with the universe, right? And that you're going to take the steps, and that this is exactly what you actually want. And so, but when you're putting it out there, you have to have that emotion, and I think that love fits into that a bucket of emotion.
Be a correct description of your desire and emotions to ultimately have and build this. You loved that concept, that goal, that dream.
Yeah, because that was the emotion that I connected to and so mine was, always wanting to have the animals. And so if you think about going down there, I go down there and hug the babies, actually pick them up and hug them because I can pick them up still. It's that kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be every day, maybe I'm not even here in 20 years. Maybe I am at the beach, but I got to experience all those things that I thought that I wanted to experience. So, and then being on the property, and, being near water, having people come here. So that looks different. I thought for sure I was going to build a bunch of places and rent those out as Airbnbs. I'm confident now I'm never going to do that. No, because
When you move to the new house.
I know, but I think, and so 30 acres seems like it's the 30 acres seems like a lot of property, but now that we've been here 2 years, it's not. So even when we have people camping over there on that piece of property, it seems like they're right in our back door. When I lived in Dallas, well, if they'd have to be on the back porch to feel like they were in my back door. So my perspective has changed, and that's okay. That's okay. That is okay. I definitely want friends and people to come here. I just don't know if I want random people on Airbnb coming here. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but asking people for help too. So it's absolutely, when you tell the universe this is what you're going to set up. My experience was, even though I didn't really have issues with asking people for help on certain things. Like it doesn't bother me to ask somebody, for something or whatever. I like to do a lot of things myself, in a certain way, but I'm okay with saying, hey, can I borrow that or whatever? That does not bother me at all. But it became really clear that I had to step outside of that too. So you can only imagine me on the like the 11th hour telling Rita, listen, I think everything's lined up, got the house sold, got the job, got everything, because we're sharing all this stuff with them, all these crazy things that are happening. And I'm like, I cannot find a mortgage unless I'm going to commit to build within, or have my plans together. And I said, you know how long it took me to make a decision to buy this damn property? Can you imagine how long it's going to take me to build, to design a house? So anyway, and she's like, no, I get it. And so that's actually where these came in, because I got an instant house that's mortgageable within 30 days. I ordered it online and they delivered it. It's like, oh, you got a house? Yeah.
And it came on a trailer.
And it came on a trailer. His came first. So anyway, but she said, don't worry about it. That's because I basically was vulnerable, or was okay enough to have a conversation with her to say, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And I knew they developed property, because they've owned all of this property down through here and they've developed it, whatever. And so, I just basically said, do you know anyone that would, maybe an ag? So I even reached out to like ag lenders. So that I could, because I have property and we were gonna put animals on it, what could I get there? And so I did have somebody come out and look or whatever. But and she says, don't worry about it. She goes, well, just for 5 years, she goes, that should be enough time. And then she says, but you're gonna have to build something if you're gonna get something. And so that's when these came about. And I said, okay, I can have a house here in 30 days.
Wow.
Let's go. So
Shed.
it's a shed. It's a shed that you see on the side of the road that they sell.
You know, the ones where you see on the side, they're literally shed and they look like they have a little front porch. We went.
Yeah, people park their cars in here and stuff and tools.
Just made it up.
Yeah. Well, they're built. So the way that these are, this manufacturer, and behind these studs, there's actually HUD stickers. These are built to be home worthy. So that's why we chose this one. Anyway, they're built by Amish.
Love written on it.
Yeah.
And they have messages of love.
Yeah, when we had the very first event, there was nothing.
So it's just that.
It was studs, so everybody wrote love notes on the studs.
Yeah.
Mine's right in the corner.
Yeah, it's just one big room, and the refrigerator was in the corner with an extension cord that had like, it was like the Christmas, what was it? The family vacation Christmas, where you had like all the lights. Yeah, there was like a ball of lights. This plugins is big, because the whole event was run off of an extension cord. That was the whole thing. Yeah, it was crazy.
Amazing what these do last year. They did, well, it was a bigger group
25.
and in a shed with an extension cord. It was.
Oh, yeah.
And we were huddled here. and they
This
had a
storm that
backup
came
fence.
through
They had a backup.
was a
fence.
sprinkle.
Oh, it was not.
Oh, my.
Oh,
The water, you would watch the water running down under
Well-
the shed, you're like, we're gonna go with the storm, we're no, it's dark.
Well, everybody's phones kept going off because there was a tornado warning. The alarms didn't go off in town yet, so we told him you had to listen for those or whatever. But Brad was watching his phone because you could hear all the iPhones going off. Burp, 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 right? So, and we're like, okay, we're staying here. We're safe here. But if we tell you to run, that means grab your purse or whatever you're going to grab, get in the car and follow us. And you can't dawdle. We got it. And so then we had already set up with the bent lifts. They have their entire basement is a storm shelter. So we said, we're running to you with 25 people if we need. It's Amazon.
Yep.
It's our new thing out here. We'll have some cover, hopefully. Anyway, but asking people for help is part of it. And so if you want this enough, you've got to be okay with being uncomfortable for saying, you know what? I have this feeling that I'm supposed to ask you for something, or I need your help. Yes. I need your help. Listen, you may not be able to give me what I need, but do you know somebody who does? And when you want something bad enough, Sean always talks about, what if your kid was up on, being dropped off the top of a building? What would you do? Yeah, of course you would ask everybody around you. I don't know. Now, this was important enough to me to figure out, it's like either, my gravestone's going to go right here in Dallas, or I'm gonna get off my ass and I'm gonna go do this. And I'm fully committed. I told the universe I would. And that was it. And so I just asked everyone. Everyone. Yeah. Yeah. How uncomfortable is it for you to get on? I'm a teenage boys, right? So I am in no way a cougar. There's nothing about this that's a cougar. However, I knew all those strong boys of Masons, which he kept failing to ask to help us move and pack. And because I know things were heavy and Sean was still traveling and things. So it was just he and I. Is that our cover? Is it heavy?
No.
Probably not. Anyway, I was, and because they weren't, some of them were 18, some of them weren't, whatever. So I'm like calling their mothers saying, hey, can you give me Dylan's number? Why do you need Dylan's number? How weird is that? It's like if I had a friend, well, let me see if you wanted to earn some money moving or whatever. Okay, you're sure it is. And then the other ones that I knew were old enough, I was just reaching out on their Facebook or TikTok and say, hey, give me a call. I got a job. You need to be over here this Saturday. I'll give you pizza, whatever. And so, yeah, that was just weird to me. I'm like, oh my God, what if it got on around town? I'm calling like my friends, my son's friends. I'm like, how weird am I going to be? Right. It's like, but no, I needed an army to help me. I had, well, they came at different times. So I'd have like 1 or 2, 3, Lucas and all them would come and help pack up.
Yeah.
Actually one came and helped us with the yard sale. So yeah, I got all kinds of help. Yeah. But that was uncomfortable. Something else.
I don't know. He does that.
He'll ask. Yeah.
And that's what when we moved, they all came and helped and he made supper for them. We ordered pizza at lunch.
Right.
They stayed the whole day and the whole night. Wow. But they had
So what's the question you want to ask? So that you don't spend the next 8 years? What's the question you need answered? Because you got it.
Am I willing? Now, if I'm not willing, am I willing to be willing?
So when we ask if we're willing, it's can I push myself? When you find the thing that you're so strongly after, it will pull you. So so the question needs to be is, can I have a big enough vision? Because when you have a big enough vision, it will pull you. There's no way you can push yourself into this property. We couldn't, for 8 years, you were pushing yourself into a possibility that didn't exist. In the time frame, right? There's always a give and take. What's that thing they say? You can have 2 of the 3. You can have quality, you can have time, or you can have budget. But you can't have all 3. Because if you have all 3, then that is just you're going to get 2 out of the 3. But when you find that 3rd one, it's got to be something to pull you. Something has got to shift in you, an awareness. So willing is pushing. When you're like, oh my God, you won't believe what happens. It's can you ask a vision big enough that you no longer have to have the will?
So it comes back to the very earliest part of this discussion of vision. And your goal and your dream and your DMP and deciding that it's time. Oh shit, I don't have any more time to screw around.
Right.
It's time.
Well, and it was time because it wasn't her time. Mason was graduating because we couldn't say, okay, you're going to be in the 11th grade for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
But we put that on ourselves for the next 10 years, we stay stuck somewhere. When there's universal laws in place, he has to grow up. Oh my God, the dread of being apart. He stays in the cabin.
I would just go college with him.
Yeah,
I would get another degree.
Call this the school.
Exactly. I was like, and I'm like, in there. I took his thing with him.
So Diane, Michelle's here, and that's the thing over there. I don't want to say its name. And she says, her name, Mason's cabin.
Drop in on,
Drop in on Mason's cabin,
Uh-huh.
I hear that, and so I was either in the bathroom or I was coming in from, and she comes back and she looks at her phone and she said, hang up. She goes, what did I just say?
what did I just
said,
call?
I tried to call Mason and there was a woman that answered.
Wow, no, just like his damn pillow he took. I didn't know he didn't
Well,
take
and
his
then-
Alexa. He took the other one we had in
So,
storage.
Michelle plays off, well, I don't know if he was listening to something on his phone.
Yeah. I'm like, who's the girl over there? So I know.
Yeah.
Well, the first time you figure it out. The first time I couldn't figure it out, then I figured out what happened because he called me from the one that he was using and it wasn't that, we had an extra one, he took it with him. No, well, I didn't know he didn't take it.
So this is now called the RCR one.
And his is
Okay.
Mason's cabin, and I thought he would, because I said, don't forget to take your Alexa because he doesn't wake up with an alarm clock. I have to scream at him. That is his alarm clock. So
You see how well it works?
yeah. So I said, take your Alexa. I didn't know. Oh, sorry, Alexa, hang up. What I didn't realize is he didn't take the one. He didn't want to unplug it out of his bed. He took another one that was just stored in a drawer that we weren't using, which was smart, but I didn't know that. So I'm screaming at the wrong one.
And it's not even a woman, it's two.
I know. I'm like, what is he doing over there?
And Ruth's like, and he's like, shut up. I said, I was yelling at the dog.
And
You wanna-
the second time I did the wrong one, but
Another question you need to ask, 'cause when we're-
but I was
break-
gonna say real quick.
Yeah, no, say whatever you want.
So
By
there,
the way- By the way, there is Vicky, Sharon, Daniela, Amber, Heather, and maybe Stephanie or somebody else all watching on as well.
Big sisters. Absolutely.
so when you talk about the shift and you talk about, having the emotions in putting out there what you want, another big piece of the shift was for me, like I talked about, you manifest with a negative emotion. My shift was also to say, if I don't do this, so it was coming from not how would I feel if I had this? What am I going to feel like if I don't do this?
A mini dick.
So I'm going to feel like total crap.
10 years from now, we're still sitting in the house in Plano. 20 years from now.
How many times, how many movies, how many people, whatever, it's like, you don't regret the things you did, you regret the things you don't do. Shut up. Yes, that's going to be one of those things. I got to do this, right? So I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go leave this world and say, why was I scared to do this? And so that was another focus, asking the universe for help instead of focusing on what I wanted, and then focusing on what is this going to feel like if I don't do it.
And that is exactly where I am when I got this notebook and went, oh, shit. This is what I've been asking for. Why am I talking about what it? Just do it. Kind of like that $600 offer at the airport when I was told no.
Well, for those who are not sure why she was told, her by herself said no. You got to get your butt to the rank.
Yeah, it was overbooked. $600 to anyone who volunteers, and I'm always one who volunteers. And I went, and my queen said, no, Louise. Now's the time. So I stood.
So one of the things so I want to go around the room. What did you learn and what did you like? What's your big takeaway from what you just heard? Because you heard two things I want you to pay attention to. I'm going to ask you what you learned, what you like. But I just want to, from a yes or a no, was listening to Michelle valuable?
Yes.
Even those of you watching online.
Yes.
Can you bring me the mic back, Michelle?
Oh, yeah,
Listening to you.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have on. Oh my God.
Good thing she wasn't eating crackers. It sounds like so. Was that valuable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe the thing that made it valuable was that She took you on her vulnerability journey. Her vulnerability gave you all courage. Your next step is about you're gonna have to be vulnerable somewhere in your life. And she didn't work anymore. Her plate was already full. In order to get to this process, some other stuff had to be taken off. It's not that she went back and sat and go, right? She did some extra work. I think underneath that hat, you don't need to move it, but is her journal. That's one of her journals. And in that is a journal, that's where there's a lot of secrets in there. There's another one that came from the book, The Magic, The Secret. That's a little hard thing. And we would write in there and we would do our journaling and we would do there was a lot of personal growth for Michelle, right? Through Joshua and different things. And we were constantly moving. And things would change and things would happen. The house in Plano. I was traveling in Europe when we said, okay, we're going to move to this house out of Addison. All of these different things. In Addison, I came there a year before we left from Florida. You guys came over, right? So all of these little things that happen. But what you heard was her saying, I don't know. And then ask the question for help.
And just like everything else, you can either be stubborn and figure it out for yourself.
No, the DIY method, that works so well.
You can take lessons from people that have been there and done that. If it does 20 years, you could take some bits and pieces from it and reduce that down to 5 years, whatever it is, whatever your timeline is. But we had mentors, but we weren't taught a lot of the things that are being taught right now. And again, the personalization. So it took me 20 years to figure out that I could boil down manifestation to 3 simple steps. Because I'm a process-driven person. I'm a standardization, simplification, process-driven person. That's if I can do that, I can do that all day long. And that's what I do. I just roll things through my manifestation steps. And so, but I have to make those personal for me. And so if you guys can take away anything, each step, not only support for homes, but any emotional step, any steps that you may not still be like take away from this work for us or this didn't work for us. It's gonna put you so much further ahead because I didn't hear people sometimes make comments about it took you guys 20 years and 15 years to do this. That's not the point. Right.
Consolidates.
Right.
And we got to remember where we came from. Our families, the way we were raised, had a big part to do with some of the delays in our life. Mason doesn't seem to have as many of those issues because it's generationally we keep, right? You know how we met, right? It was a letter from my mother, a blind date. I was in Puerto Rico, she was in Florida, and I got a post. Yeah. I got a letter with a Polaroid picture in it. On the bottom of it said, call her. There wasn't a letter in it or nothing. It was an envelope to me in Puerto Rico that said, it's from my mother. What is that? It's a photo. I open it up and it's a Polaroid of Michelle and her dad. And on the white part, call her and a phone number. I called my mother and said, was she in prison down here? What? No, we didn't know each other. Well, so we were putting in a restaurant. We're building a restaurant. We had to put in a payphone. The payphone woman who came to put in the payphone's husband worked for her father.
So every time that she would come to the
she'd come to the restaurant.
Pick up the money and whatever repairs. His mother would invite her for coffee. Sit down, have a cup of coffee with me. And a piece of pie from the restaurant. He get into talking. So his mother's like, hey, I got a son. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm Puerto Rico. I got a son, the youngest son. And he goes, I need to find him a good woman, right? So I'm just afraid that it, never, whatever those excuses were. And so she says, do you have a daughter? Because that was his mother. Do you have a daughter? Do you know anybody who has a daughter? And she goes, well, my daughter's 14, so I don't think that's gonna work out. But my husband works for this guy whose daughter just got out of a long-term relationship and she's a lawyer.
And he is so worried that she's going to, either switch to the other team kind of thing. Or she is just never gonna get married, right? And it's his only daughter. So his entire, that was me. His entire office, he had looking for,
That's awesome.
So between those two ladies talking over coffee, did the pictures get swapped between?
So,
my dad and
so
mom?
a picture of me got sent to her through back channels. This was like espionage. He found a picture of her. Mhm. He found a picture of her. That was
He being who?
Gary, her dad. Her dad's
Okay.
name is Gary. And sent this picture. The picture he was gonna send, I wouldn't have called her. Your glamour shot picture.
Oh my.
Yeah.
She was in camo, her hair all dolled up. I'm like, what the? No, thank you. Because her dad sent the Polaroid to what was Beth's husband name?
So, Beth, I'm from the night.
Beth is the phone company, whatever.
Come home, tells your husband that night, no, believe this. Woman looking, isn't Michelle, isn't Gary trying to say, I think they're about the same age. That might work out.
Everybody's involved in this matchmaking. I love it.
And so he goes, well, I'm Gary. So he goes to work the next day, tells my dad that he thinks he's not an eligible bachelor. And so then the two of the women, the mom and Beth, we need to swap pictures. So my dad actually gets his secretaries to go with him to the house where all the pictures are, and they went through albums to find a good one, right? Because you didn't have them on your phone then. I mean, this was
all these things are there.
and then Beth goes back and says, you have a picture of your son, and we're gonna swap. And so then, of course, in the next coffee, they swap the pictures. His mom gets the picture of me, actually US mails it to him in Puerto Rico with a note on it.
How did you get the Polaroid?
In a mail. My mom sent me an envelope. Oh, this was, it went to the house, Gary's house.
My dad,
I think they took the camera and took
No.
a picture at that moment.
No, they found a
no,
picture
my
that
dad went and found an old Polaroid
got it,
picture
got it.
that the secretaries agreed with,
Okay,
and
sent that.
and they swapped.
got it.
What
Yeah.
was the picture you saw of me? I don't know that I ever asked.
Oh
you
my
that.
God. So his mother.
You're standing on stage with a big
No,
dog
no,
and a bow tie.
No, he was in a suit and he was in, so there were pictures for the,
Was this the country club picture?
yes, the
Oh,
country
God,
club membership roll book, the magazine that they put, or whatever you put
So
everybody's
it's me
membership,
like this.
in a suit. Yeah. There's nothing unusual about that. What was unusual is that your mother laminated it.
Oh.
Hang on. But she laminated it because she made 100 copies of the proof. It said proof on it.
Yes,
Oh.
so
She
it was
didn't even
proof.
buy it. She took that, had somebody make more picture, and she made 100 copies and laminated them, was handing them out like candy.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Because at our wedding, on the gift table, here's the gift table, there's this pile of pictures of me. And I went, what the hell is all of that? And I asked Bob, the phosphate guys one.
Mhm.
And I said, what are all these? She goes, well, that's all of the women who dropped the picture out of their.
That your mother gave the
That my
picture
mother
to.
had given them, they said, okay, we can finally take this picture.
And
out
it
of
wasn't
her
just
purse."
people, so. It wasn't just people who, that were eligible for you to date. His mother was handing them out to other mothers. And so the mothers were like, of course, they're all friends. That's how she knew them to give them a picture. They all brought it back because that was hilarious and getting married. And you can have a
No
picture back.
longer eligible.
Oh, no.
So this is all really an example of manifesting and taking action.
Yes,
For all
the
this to happen.
mothers, the mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mother was Jewish,
And I was
Genta.
gonna say, she's got to be Jewish.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the ability to ask for help.
Matchmaking.
Yeah.
How many people had to be involved in this? That
To get us to this moment right here.
Exactly.
that is
It's awesome. Wow. It's awesome.
So now I want to go around before we take our first break. What did you really learn and what are you going to do with this? Because knowledge is knowledge, but applied knowledge is much better. So what's one thing you learned? What's one thing you like? And when you, after, because next thing is going to be kind of like on your own, go sit somewhere and write out your check and write out what you really learned from this. What are you gonna take from this? Because that will change the way this book works for you. Go ahead.
I would ask you-
So I'm gonna ask you to pass this around. Just hold that.
Well, to ask the universe for help, but in putting that emotion of what it would feel like if I didn't. That
Does your
is what,
voice change?
Yes.
Right, we all know Diane, she's wildly emotional, she's very much a very quiet person, but that hits her heart. That's what I want. It's hard, but it's. I want you to get sort of knocks it free, you know, you ever have something that's frozen and it's not getting, and it takes off? You're frozen, you're rusted shut, and that's why you'll always hear me say, just not gonna rust. That's why you hear me say that phrase, I'm just not gonna rust off, I'll get better. Oh my God, you're so good, I'm just not gonna rust. Because I wanna keep that spiral.
So it began with tomorrow, having nothing to do, no attachment to yesterday, because that's old story. It began with tomorrow and in putting together what I want has nothing to do with yesterday. That was huge for me. And how am I going to feel if I don't? There's no if, ands, or buts.
Hang on. I want you to sit in this emotion because you're gonna have to sit in front of somebody a year from now and say, I did or didn't.
Absolutely.
And I want you to own this because
This is my oh shit moment right now. It really is. Yes,
and it's gonna be as scary as hell.
it is.
But here's the thing, Michelle and I had each other. Michelle had Mason. Didn't have a whole group of people like this,
Which is awesome.
right? So this is significant to be, and the people who are online, because they're having their oh shit moment. I hope you are. Type it in the chat if you are. I can't read it. But I want you to just, if you're having it, you need to be a part of it. So. What you like to learn? What do you take away?
So I learned to be more aware because it's all around me and I just am blinded, not realizing. So I learned to be more aware. And then I like that, I've always decided the more I am willing to trust God, the more it happens. But the challenge is I don't trust as often as I.
So who is it the trusting? Is it you not trusting you to be aware? Is it you not trusting you to? Oh, but if I, right, because you always have this phrase, I don't want to work
Yes.
that hard.
Yeah,
But the thing we want shouldn't be hard.
correct. And it can be easy. That's
It
the
can
thing.
be easy. Because when you say, give it to me, the real estate agent goes, I sold this 20 years ago. She sold this 20 years ago.
Wow.
I don't know if it's on the market. Right, Michelle? 20 years ago. This is 20 years the last time this property was touched, thought about, thunked about. And she said, I think I know what you're looking for. How did she know what Michelle was looking for? Michelle had a vision and was able to paint the vision of the people who could help her. My goal, 600 generations. Everybody's eyes cross when I say 600 generations. That's okay. It gets you thinking of something you've never heard before. So what's the thing you're going to do with this?
I feel like I want to trust more, to really allow it to, I want to figure it all out and calculate everything so that I know every T is crossed and every I is dotted.
So what if you trusted that all of those were wrong?
Yeah.
That's gonna be, that's, you feel it, you see it in her? This is what I want you to. Here we are in the very first session. I want you to have something so emotional that it's a lifetime. My goal is whenever I speak, will it last a lifetime? You have to get a lifetime value out of me every time we have this. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense to come back. Because if I'm just gonna teach you the ABCs again, then you already know the ABCs.
So what I don't understand is when you asked us, was it valuable that Michelle shared? And I just felt overwhelmed, like I just want to cry, but I didn't understand why.
So let's work that out.
Yeah.
Get it.
I don't know, it's just, I don't know if it's because, wow, by trusting and really asking, this can happen.
So is it okay if you let go of having to
Let go of having to
be the process instead of being part of the process?
not trying. Is it okay if I let go?
Of being the process. I gotta do everything
Yes. it's okay.
instead of being part of the process. God gave us the house. God gave us this. God gave us the loan. God gave us this. God put us together. You know me, now I know, here's the thing about me is I know when that's not, you're taking me off my flow. I can say no. But I say yes to everything, because I don't, if what I believe is true, then it has to be the thing I don't know has to be a part of it. Right? The guy who runs the feed stores, I don't know why we spent an hour at the feed store talking about personal development and how to make sure his kids, because he asked me, I'm afraid I'm taking my girls away, not giving them enough because I don't have a wife when I'm here, when they come to me. And so why would he and I have that conversation? I don't know, but we had it in a feed store with the little chickens in the bucket next to them. I say yes. When it's about what I do, I say yes. So, congratulations. I'm saying, it's overwhelming is good because you've never been there, but it's been a while since you've been. And it's been a while since you've been overwhelmed and still kind of at peace.
That's a strong emotion.
That's a
And I
huge
would,
emotion.
If I were you, or at least in the next 10 minutes, writing down exactly what you want.
Pass that, start. So Maureen, I have two questions.
Okay.
So this is kind of been part of something called. So how do you feel about this experience? That's the first time, you know. Do you think about the other person?
Oh, I think this is right up my alley. This is the kind of personal growth, community building that I am all about now. Wasn't always. You know, I've gone through a lot of changes in the last few years, and this is coming at the same stuff in a different way that is going to allow me to have a different growth experience that, yeah, it's just going to be different. I mean, I'm in a place that I've never been before. I'm excited. You know, I really am. Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
excited.
good.
So I'm in a new place
So what,
and it's
What
going to
did
be okay.
I asked two questions. What'd you learn? What'd you like? So when you heard Michelle, so what's something you learned and something you liked, and then what's something you might take action?
Okay, so what did I learn? I was reminded to surrender, to really let go of having to know it all and how it's going to happen, and to not just trust the universe, but actually have faith that what I want is valuable enough to have.
Say that again so you hear it.
Yeah.
I watched your eyes. There was a lot of who
What-
said that? Why did you say that?
What I want is valuable enough for me to have. And that's a biggie. That's a biggie.
Y'all hear that?
Yeah. So, okay, that's what I learned.
Which one?
I liked the vulnerability. I liked, I have a very similar situation or very similar experience. And so as I was listening to you and Michelle,
I was relating it to the miracles that happened to get me where I am. And I was also trying to do the Maureen, stay out of your own head, focused on what was going on here. So I like the awareness that I want to be this might be the first question too. I want to be able to focus more on somebody else's story and not have it so much about me. That
Well, so
Help
what I
me.
hear, so what it's, to others, it sounds like, well, you're not gonna take care of you. There's a part
Oh.
of, no, I know.
Yeah.
What they might hear because of the place they're hearing it from.
Yeah.
I'm hearing from where you spoke this based upon the little that I looked through your finger. You've had a tremendous life. You're continuing to have a tremendous life. Now you want to mentor and share and give somebody else the opportunity. Similar.
Yes.
And that's still, now that requires you a whole new set of skills. So part of what you're not saying is I have to become a better mentor. Rather than a better doer. That means you've got to set ego aside when you watch people go, well, how many of you say, it's just easier if I did it. Let me do it for you. Now you have to let people stumble and you get to be able to get in the band.
Yeah. And I get to be able to also in my own head, not try and fix people, but allow them the space to, let me put this another way. I get to recognize that they have their own answers, that they are right where they're supposed to be, doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and all I have to do is love them. And I want
that's a big freedom. Which
huge. So that's my takeaway.
And the reason I'm asking you this right now at the start, this is a pretty intense opening, is so that you can listen from that place to the rest of you. By the way, did you hear the little? That's Fredo. Frida.
Her name, she's a name.
Well, it's Fredo. Because, well, I always knew she was a female, but we weren't quite sure. But anyway, so she now lays eggs. So now.
That clarifies that.
And there's what's up? Would you learn what you like? What are you gonna take action? For those of you online, I'm gonna come into the chat room into my office there in just a minute and ask you the same thing.
How important vision is, to a large extent, means my DMP. Being super clear and focused on that. Without that, we don't know where we're going. So we're not going to get anywhere. That's of a desire of ours if we don't know where that is. Having the courage and the belief and the faith to go after that.
Those are three emotions to saddle up with.
Having,
Time to wake up.
yeah, living in high emotion. And in my mind, the highest emotion is love. Going back to the courage end of it, the old John Wayne quote of courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway, because fear can take many forms and will often stop us from doing anything. That my God is an awesome God and he loves me and he's ready to help me. I've got to be ready to accept that and embrace that and have faith and confidence in him. that part of my goal for myself and for others is an old quote, let each become all he's capable of being. Well, I want that for myself because I know I can be much more than what I am. And my goal and what I'm going to do is to get farther on my journey, become more of what I'm capable of, so that I can be of greater value to others on their journey.
I love it. So as you sit for the rest of the weekend, remember that. So when we break from this, some snacks and go use the restroom, but then just go for the next hour, find a place and just write your notes. How many events do you get garbage from? Right? I'm teasing, no, it's okay. This is, listen, this
And it's
is
perfect.
You're
And it's
here at our
perfect.
house. This is us living. There's no, this ain't,
So what are we writing on?
just write down what you want to do next, right? You can go fill out the check and write out your check. But I want you to take this emotion and say, what is the rest of the weekend look like for you? What is the rest of the next 30 days look like for you? I just want you to just say, I just got some amazing secrets. I had some huge awarenesses. What's your new identity? Who do you become with this new awareness? Because to use the old, sitting with all of this, there's no quantum leap to change. So right now you've become something. The person that came here this morning that sat down in those chairs ain't the same person sitting here now. The you that showed up can never leave here because it doesn't exist anymore. The you that showed up, my goal is the you that showed up can never leave here. Because you're never the same when you leave. So what's your big takeaway?
I have a question to ask about first.
You don't get to ask questions just yet. Tell me yours first and then you can ask a question.
It's such a perfect question.
For you, not for me.
It's not, well, it had to do with our discussion yesterday.
Okay, but do me yours first. This is me breaking your rules.
Okay. What's your question?
So the question is, what did you learn? What did you like? What'd you take away from the conversation, Michelle?
Her vulnerability, her ability to speak especially clear and concisely of how that fear, she called it fear. I had my internals took it a different way. I took it as perseverance and strength. That was also with an unquieted feeling of desperation of that she was not going to reach what her ultimate goal was. So that put a time limit on it. That's my filter of what I heard her words say.
That's perfect.
That as uncomfortable it is for her to ask for help, it also pointed the finger directly back at me that at certain times it's very uncomfortable for me to ask for help.
Listen, who loves asking for help?
Yeah, it's unanimous.
Yeah.
But the other part is that vulnerability that comes from the heart that I often am very good at being a Teflon person to deflect to everybody else rather than to necessarily force myself. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I can do whatever I can chameleon to a million different things if I have to avoid working on Doug. And that is precisely why the conversation that I was having last night, that is part of the thing that Bob and I had talked about. Even though we're not supposed to be going past, I'm just bringing you, there's last night is as close to moving forward. The fact that I need to make sure my communication, not only internally, but externally is as proficient as possible, that I have the ability to stand in who I am, without judgment, and accept my faults and ask my friends to raise me to the level of expectations that I have of myself.
I love it.
And also be willing to always, because I do the 2 chairs every day. Excuse me, most days. I need to make it every day. But I definitely need to be more willing to aggressively listen. I was going to say actively, that's not true. Aggressively listen, because what I want isn't always important. What he wants to provide to, because he is listening. And since he knows everything, even that which I don't say or ask in that conversation, he's going to give me an answer for. So I need to aggressively listen so that whatever presents itself is always a positive alternative, whether it's challenging or not. It's just for me to filter it, to do something with it and go. And that probably may not resonate with all of you, but with anybody who does that 2 chairs, Bob Bodine book type situation on a large basis, it will make a lot of sense, because it's not even, it becomes, you then carry from that moment every day, you get a chance every day to literally be a better person for yourself and for those that you interact with. And that's now calling me. And that's why in front of you, I'm committed to how many people? 15 roughly that are listening now, that you get to hold me to that standard. That's not uncomfortable.
So is that the new action to take?
Yes, that's the, because that's not always, because that means I can't deflect. That means I have to address whatever comes up.
And we can ask you to do your 2 chairs and you can say no, and you have an understanding and say, I don't want to have that feeling again. It's okay to say no. Say, you know what, I haven't, but I don't want that feeling. So tomorrow I'll say yes, because it comes down to the decision. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yes, the question that I have is, in your soul and in your soul and in your mind, have you found where you want to soar?
Clarify my vision.
Good.
Great question.
So what I learned was to what was said about taking off. And we, in our conversation so many times, said that I do so many things, but I do nothing. And so this is for me, and it started on the way here with Ruth in the car, right? I heard it from,
Bring that out in you.
I heard it from many people, it clicked. And in Michelle's story, where I resonated when she said that she asked for help, and then Ruth's voice came in to receive it. And I know we discussed this many times. There was something at one point where it says overwhelmed but at peace. I don't feel this way. I'm still overwhelmed. So I have to, and maybe I'm okay being overwhelmed, but I just need to know what to do with this overwhelm so that I step into action, because that's where I need improvement. Too many things on my head, a pressure of
Pressure. Do you think
need
when
for
you-
approval.
Do you think when you find your dream that you have absolutely fallen in love with, that you'll actually wind up doing more?
Yeah.
So won't there be more overwhelmed, but it will be such an overwhelm of knowing fully that I'm in lockstep with achieving. So overwhelm isn't a thing to fear. Maybe overwhelm is good. I just don't know what I'm doing. We didn't know what we were doing, but we know that the house sold, we found the rental house, Mason had all of these options. It was overwhelmed. But it was such a peace because it was part of the process to get here. What you want is huge. I know that. It's over when you, oh my gosh, it's all here. You will be overwhelmed. This is what Napoleon Hill talks about when he says, you'll wonder where it was during all the lean years. It's okay for you to have your river of flow. Right now, you're getting sprayed with a fire hose versus being in a river of flow that is your river downstream. Oh my gosh, look at all the fish, look at all of this, look at the mountains going by, look at the land going by. Oh my, I mean, there's so much of beauty to pay attention to, but you're not worrying about rowing the boat. We're too busy rowing the boat that we can't enjoy the flow.
And it also goes back to what Michelle had mentioned before, where it was clear to her what she didn't want. And so I'm going back to, I don't want to feel 5 years from now, I don't want to feel the same way that I feel now. So that's why I know that action needs to happen.
So part of that is to ask for help. So, hey, listen, I know I don't want this, so guide me, tell me, Napoleon Hill. Noodle free the poodle, are you nuts? Listen, we've had an argument in our past, but you are gonna have, and then within 4 hours, he can grow rich. 6 months, a year, they've been trying to come up with titles, 800, 500, 700 titles. They couldn't come up with a title until I'm turning it in tomorrow, deadline, Mason graduating.
Yeah, yeah.
A goal without a deadline is a wish. So when we say, June, hey, listen, Skippy, Bob, 50K, Skipper, I can help you get it. You've got more talent in your pinky to get 50K. You know what's gonna happen? Holy shit, Bob's taking us all, and you're gonna be overwhelmed with the love, but you're gonna say, I didn't do anything. You're gonna say, I didn't do it, because it's in your nature. When you are a miracle, miracles happen. You don't have to do anything. This is why I call what I do personal on development. I am chipping away the bullshit that's not you. Every one of you had an awareness. It wasn't because you had to do more. You said, it's about freaking time. I love me. And that's where your friction is right now. Because if you have so many, every one of you has so many skills. Your default mode network, the way your brain operates when you're quiet, keeps you stuck where you're at. That's why we have to become aware of our thoughts. Yours is, what's the process? What's the process? What's the process? Yeah, but I need to check 2 other people to see if they're saying that, so that this makes sense, so I don't make a mistake. I'm an old farm boy. I don't know. I'm blah, 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 right? You're a genius. It's identity. It's identity. It's, yeah, but people don't see me that way. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Fuck them. I'm sorry. That's probably the last time you'll ever hear me say that. But enough is enough.
Dealing with financial struggle. God's blessed us incredibly. We raised 6 kids on my salary. Financial struggle.
Okay, you ready? You're passing that on to your kids. Suck it up. We're taught poverty.
Yeah.
Stop teaching poverty. You were poor in the past.
Yeah.
You're not poor in the future. Be brilliant, but I love that we had $1 million in debt. I wasn't smart enough to go bankrupt. Michelle said, we're not doing that. Life would have been a hell of a lot easier if we didn't have to pay off dimes on the dollars. But then the IRS goes, well, that's income. So it's taxes. Well, you don't have any money to pay the taxes on the money you gave away. But it shows up as income. So if we had $1 million in debt and we paid off 300,000 in cash, we had 700,000 in income. Should have called bankruptcy. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. So my point is that, are you bankrupt enough to say enough is enough? Because you're carrying a debt. You're carrying a debt you didn't pay for, but you're carrying a debt. It was your parents' debt, your grandparents' debt. Some of you have paid off your kids' debt. Today, this weekend is about you. I don't care what you do on Tuesday, although I would like that you stay kind of in the frame. But that's what this book is for, so you can't leave me. So you can't forget you. That's all I'm here for, is to remind you of you. A page a day. There's 257 pages, a page a day. I'll get you to 365 of pages between now and. But I want you to remember you every day, every day, every day. And you have to remember this, not that.
Yeah. Abundance.
Because you have gotten through hell. There's hell you've been through. Every one of you have been through hell. You have the evidence you've been through hell. The question is, why would you want to go through it again? Enough, and enough.
Yeah.
So just walk around going enough. And literally walk around doing this. When I'm driving in the car, I can drive with my knees. I do this all the time. So, what'd you learn, what you love?
I already said.
And so, is this good? Now, you've been here since the beginning. I want to ask you, because Danielle and I had a conversation earlier, meaning about Michelle. That was wasn't a first, but that was a first. The way you explained it, the way you walked, because I figured you'd still be back there. You walked right up here. You let me put a mic on you, right? Wasn't that? That's. I mean, I told you. Don't you come? What'd you say? So, I said you'll come for me, but you'll stay for Michelle. Right? You'll come for the ambiance, but you'll stay for the steak and chicken. But yeah, let's give Michelle a round of applause. So what we're going to do, it's now 1 o'clock. We'll circle back. Yeah, it's really. Yeah, that was from 10 to 1.
Wow.
And it seemed like a second, right? So here's another thing to remember. She is not a professionally trained public speaker, but you don't have to be when you speak from your heart. When you speak from reality, not theory. There wasn't one thing she said, you should try this. It was, hey, here's what I did. Here's what I did. Here's where I felt. Here's what I did. You asked a question. What I did was, she never said what you should do. So when you start to think about, if I need to build an audience, that's where I got to speak from. Hey, listen, I don't know what I'm about to say. You're going to hear a lot of ums and ahs and holy crap. You heard me say the F word. I don't know that you ever heard me say the F word. But stuff's just going to come out because this is us. This is it. And you're here. And this is life changing.
We have one life left. This is our one chance.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
TikTok, buttercup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a break. There's snacks and stuff, and if anybody's hungry, wraps or whatever. So anything we can do, any food or whatever. The point is that so the Waffle House chef is here. Hey, good afternoon.
You don't have anything to offer.
What kind of a menu is that? So I'm coming into to my office to come chat with you guys. So 3 o'clock, let's plan on circling back up, see what you've got written down. So yeah.
So lunch, snacks, whatever, but yeah, 2 hours. You want to go take a nap? Go take a nap, dream on it. I'm okay. Debbie. Hello, Seamus. Doo-be-doo-be-doo. Ah. Where is it? Oh, hey, Sharon. Can you all see me now? Okay, cool. For some whatever reason, it doesn't show up here. So what'd you all learn? What'd you like?
Oh, Sean.
Oh, hang on. I gotta hear. Says external headphones. Sharon, speak again. Let me see if I hear you. Oh.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm very grateful to be here, and thank you for telling Vicky about it so that I could help her get here and get me on.
Thank you. I thought when I walked back in, I went, "Oh, I gotta tell Sharon," but I said, "Well, one of them will tell you." Vic, I knew
Yeah.
Vicky.
That was awesome. And the whole thing was awesome. It's like we hear the same information different ways, but I take it in differently depending on who I am in that moment. I'm a different person, moment to moment. And it's like a lot of things that used to get stuck, like, well, I don't, like how do I calculate that? All of that just sort of disappeared. And I think part of what was really impactful as Michelle vulnerably talked about her story that took her 8 years to get here is that's a lot of the process that I've been in. And yeah, I want this, but I don't want this and I don't want that. And well, how can I do that if I have this? And, as opposed to getting the clarity, time is running out, just do it and say yes. So I think the biggest impact for me is to say yes. And I used to feel like I said yes to shiny objects, which is different from saying yes to going for it. So like right now I'm in a straight up learning curve, learning something I've never done before. But because I'm in a different state, I'm able to focus for 8 hours of frustration. Whereas in the past, give me 15 minutes, I'm out of here, But I'm willing to go through that because I want the end result. And I want what's bigger than just that moment. And I know that. And Michelle helped clarify that for me enough that maybe I can get off the dime and make it happen. So I'm just very, very grateful. And the other thing that there are a lot of bonus moments, but and I'm not sure I recognize the voice of somebody who was talking about not trying to fix a person, but just loving them and trusting that their process is the perfect process for them. It has nothing, it may not be my process, it may not be what I want to experience, but if I can sit in infinite love and gratitude and hold a space to trust that whatever is happening is for the highest good, then I don't go down a rabbit hole. And if I don't go down a rabbit hole, then I'm doing more good than bad.
Yes. And that's Louise's friend from Hawaii, Maureen Murphy. So
Okay. Excellent.
love
Excellent.
it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm about to do somebody's invited me onto a podcast or a call at noon. I'm going to be, this guest speaker on this call. So I'm really excited to do it from this place.
Love it. Congrats. Who else? Who's next? Who wants to share what's their takeaways? What they learn, what they like, what's their takeaway?
This was a perfect timing for me, Sean.
I love it.
How do I describe it? I have been looking at what I call our family whispering walls. And it was leading up to the perfection of the talk today, because what we became aware of is that we all have the whispering walls that come from our heritage. But for example, we had the same woman who mothered us, but we did not have the same mother. Sherry's mothering was different than my mothering and my sister's. And one of the things that we've been looking at is the amount of shoulds. The way we took care of each other was we saw what they needed. And we were going to make damn sure they got it, whether they wanted it or not. And noticing how we do that and how it undermines confidence in the building of that capability of what Michelle was talking about today. I don't necessarily have the words to put the tie together, but you have to be willing to do something. But in order to be willing to do something, you have to know what it is that you are particularly wanting to resolve. And the whole fascination of how many, my sister said to me, one of them, because we'd always get into her truth versus my truth, who's really right. One of us has to be wrong. And it would be crazy. We'd wind up yelling at each other. And she finally said, what can I do to support you? And I said, eliminate one word from your vocabulary when you're talking to me. Should. Take away the word should. Would change my life with you. And I think she heard it. So it's like, you have to know where you're going. And that it was like for me, Michelle today re-anchored. There are steps to doing it. And that they unfold. And God was already unfolding them for me with all of this. And like even today, I lost a day. I really lost a day. I thought today was Thursday. And here it is, it was Friday. I said, oh my God. And then I found you. I said, oh my God, this is fantastic. And then my honey went, garbage. Fantastic. He can't hear. I said, fine, you can't hear. You don't want to hear anyway. I'm going in the other room. So it's like every little, that was the other thing I was picking up with Michelle. And I don't know if it makes sense, but it's almost like God moves you. I never realized the power and the generosity of Lisa Grossman. What an incredible, loving, powerful human being. I never knew that. I never saw that. I heard it. And to have that kind of specialness develop, and that's what's happening in this community, where 1 + 1 is more than 2. And I love today because I was able to be on it. I have a zillion things I have to do for the rest of the day that we had agreed we were going to try to handle some, again, taking care of our house so we can keep here, living here. But thank you. I just, and I do want to take this moment if I can. And I cry easy. People know that. I am so filled with gratitude for all the loving support that I've been getting with my health issues. And I absolutely believe they've kept me not just healthy, they've kept me alive. And I'm getting stronger. And that, what I call Mr. C, it all seems to be helping. And that's part of what I think Michelle's talking about. You can see what's happening and you can choose to give it an interpretation that doesn't support dreams. Or you can turn around and on some level make a decision. Now, how does that help me get to where I want to go? And that's very different. So I appreciate the holding that everybody has done. I get sick of all the bullshit shit, but the fact is, I'm here. I'm alive. With all that bullshit, I'm here. I'm alive. I can giggle. I can laugh. I can learn about what life looks like differently. And that's because of you, this community, Michelle, and the sharing that she did today. Part of it was wonderful because I had heard pieces of it before, but the detail with which she went through it today was just, thank you, Michelle. It was very special. So.
I love it, love it, love it. I'm just putting the dogs up here for, oops, sorry, Shaman. Who else wants to share any takeaways if you're there? I can see you, but you may be doing other stuff. I get it. They may have had to go take care of a client or take care of their baby. Okay. So we'll hopefully be back around 3, maybe. I'm not sure what the so the goal is to go off with this new knowledge and write what's the next thing that's going to happen for you. Where do you go? How do you go? Like Sharon has got the perfect example. She's got to go get onto a podcast, and she's going on that podcast from a different place. How does this awareness, what's the action step that you're going to now look at to say, I'm in a different place. Everything that I wanted, I now see it. This is a waddle, see waddle moment. It's not about doing certain things, it's about doing them in a certain way. And today, Michelle shared with you a certain way, a certain something different. And it means something different to the 15 of us that heard it. So I love it, love it, love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we should be back here sometime around 3, maybe. We'll go from there. Love you all. See y'all where? At the next event. Danny, do you want to share anything? Or you might be taking care of cello.
Hey.
Hey.
I don't even know what I posted in the chat. I know I wanted to post it in there so I don't forget. Can you just remind me? I know I wrote about
I will. For me, it was surrender.
Yes.
Surrender and being specific. Wow, the chat got really tiny. Being specific on what it, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because who's talking? It was Sharon when she was listening to Maureen. Maureen. I think that, yeah. And being specific on what it is you wanted, allowing it to come in the perfect way it's supposed to, not the way you think it should.
Yes. I love hearing the story over and over and over because I get different little nuggets from it and reminders of how you're not in control.
Yep.
No, not even if you remotely think that you are. You're just, not only are you depriving yourself, but you're depriving God from what he has planned for you.
Ding, 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 ding. We got a winner.
Right on the money again with it. And I'm so beyond proud of her that she was standing. I saw her standing by that door.
Michelle's outside going, I'm proud of you too, girl. She's out here on the grill. So, you know, it's right outside my window here. So
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, she walked right up there and let me put the mic on her. You know, she would be like.
Right. And I mean, she really knocked it out of the park today.
Yeah, that was 4 hours.
What?
Yeah, from 10 to 1, 10, 11, 12, 1, 3 hours. 3 hours she chatted.
Wow.
3 hours she told that story. 2.5 hours because of my opening, but 2.5 hours she just laid nugget on nugget on nugget on nugget. And then she answered questions. Which
I know.
What she loves.
Listen, she's a legend.
Yep.
She's absolutely a legend. And I'm beyond grateful for her because even though I'm over here like, okay, what's the gratitude? I still get to can you hear Marcello? I'm in the car. He's like, go. Even though I'm like, I wish I was there, but then I'm like, I'm grateful that I'm even able to just be online and listening. And
well, and here's the other thing. We planned because it was raining. The lake almost overflowed. That's how fast the rain came down.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go pull a pipe. I was soaking wet. And the little tent we had out here destroyed because of the rain and the water. It was pouring rain. So there was no place for us to go do the event. It was what we were thinking in our head because Michelle's got to cook and we didn't need to do all of the stuff inside there. So we were going to go over
to the little house, not a little house, to the house that Doug and Bob are in. Doug rented a house 4 miles from here. So we were planning, okay, if it's raining, we're just going over there. That was the plan up until 9 o'clock when everybody came for breakfast, but I was running around trying to keep the lake from overflowing, literally, because all of the rain coming in. And then Christina says, are we just going to do it here? And I looked and I said, well, everybody's here. I said, well, if everybody's here, then I can set up the phones. That's why I didn't have any of this planned, because we weren't planning on going live because I was over there. But now we could do, so it just, everything just, God's good, and it worked out perfectly.
Listen, there's no turn.
Right.
None of that going on.
You know, the other thing that's really powerful about this is the noticing. It's like, yes, it took 8 years to actually be in the middle of what you were in.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been easy to have not connected the vision from 8 years ago to the current event if one wasn't paying attention and being aware and looking for God along the way. Otherwise, then then it's haphazard, but there's nothing haphazard in the universe. And that's what we keep seeing, is all these interconnections. There's nothing haphazard going on. And yet we can choose to focus on the flowers or the flood, So thank you. And
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Heather might be taking care of a client.
I got to get ready for this thing I'm doing.
Okay, we're wrapping it up. All right, I'll see y'all where?
At the next event. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace be with us.
Wait. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
I have something I need to run by you.
Yep.
So if possible, it doesn't even have to be like, I think you'll be excited about it.
Okay, so now, or you want to do a call right after this? Because I'm going to go grab my phone, because that's where the main event is. It's the post is my phone, so I got
Regardless, just
Okay.
regardless, just let me know.
Okay.
All
All
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye. Thanks, everybody. No, sit down. You're not going outside. No. Hey, no.